3 p.m. All right. We don't have anybody in the Zoom room yet. Okay. When we start banging down our doors, then we'll be ready. First item on the agenda here is meeting minutes for November 8th. Do you guys have any corrections for those meeting minutes?
Nope.
So misspelling something. Let me see if I can find something here.
This federal supposed to be capitalized.
What?
Federal lines is that supposed to be capitalized or not?
I don't think it needs to be.
Okay, I was just I was asking you guys.
Yeah. I capitalize land from my federal stuff. I can change it. I mean,
It doesn't matter. I just
Well, I can't find whichever one I was looking for, but I did find one other one in there. Is Beth Kramer's name, is it Kremer, or is there an I in there? There's an I in the meeting minutes, but not a big deal.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I think it's just ER, so I will.
yeah, that pronunciation would be Crimer.
But yeah, other than that, I didn't have anything. Do you have any corrections or anything on their team?
Nope.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for November 8th, 2023.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes for November 8th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Yeah, we can move on. Our first appointment here is at 6:35 p.m. Resolution 2023-11 recognizing Dave Andrews for his years of service. I guess you read that aloud?
But that.
Would you like me to read it aloud?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, for the record.
All right. Resolution 2023-11, a resolution of the San Juan County Board of Commissioners thanking Dave Andrews for his many years of service to San Juan County. Dave Andrews has been employed by the San Juan County Road and Bridge Department from April 11th, 1986 to October 31st, 2023. Whereas Dave Andrews has served the county and the citizens of San Juan County for more than 36.5 years. With dedication and integrity, whereas David Andrews was exemplary in maintaining and operating equipment, opening the backcountry roads and plowing snow, and whereas Dave Andrews' dedication to his job and community has greatly contributed to the quality of life for the residents and visitors of San Juan County. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of San Juan County that the Commissioners would like to thank Dave Andrews for his many years of service, and be it further resolved that the Commissioners would like to commend David Andrews for his commitment to serve San Juan County and to wish him the very best in his years to come. Read and passed and adopted the 20th day of November 2023 by the Board of County Commissioners of San Juan County, Colorado.
That looks good with just a couple additions there.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll make those corrections and then get
Yeah.
You want to put that on the paper?
With that,
Are we gonna put that in the paper?
I'll get it to them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You need a
You
motion?
need a motion to adopt resolution 2023-11.
All right, I'll so move.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. All right, I think we can go ahead and wait on our liquor license hearing until 7. Let's go ahead and discuss the 2023 financial report. Any questions or comments during our financial report?
You're talking about the October financial report, correct?
Correct.
Page 2. Courthouse, we budgeted 5,000 year to date. We're at 19,377. That's a grant, is that really?
No, it's actually,
What is
A
that?
boiler.
no, it's actually written as, interest income has come in, and for whatever reason, the way Deanna's got them earmarked through different funds, and actually it would probably be for Deanna, I think we have set them up. We've been getting a nice chunk of like over $1,000 a month in interest.
Huh?
Yeah,
Right.
actually, in all the escrow funds,
Yeah, the interest, definitely.
they've all got a nice little chunk into them.
Right, yeah, that was just a curiosity there, then go to, well, it's the same thing, investment income, budgeted 9,000 and we've year to date made 51,000.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, we were getting peanuts on interest income and this last year. That could been pretty substantial, which is kind of back to where, I mean, we used to generate 50,000 a year.
Are those,
Interest.
somewhere in there I saw, are those all with Citizen State Bank or is it, other investments?
You get the wrong name tag, looks like.
What's that?
Oh,
It's no big deal. I just thought I'd, before the meeting goes any further. I was confused.
Yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah.
Okay, just whatever I say tonight, just
Yeah,
consider the opposite.
now is that, interest that we're making on all these accounts with Citizen State Bank?
It's in the state bank, it's, you know, there's a couple other places he's got funding in, but, yeah, Citizen State Bank gave us a better rate if we, put more money in there.
Good.
We bumped it up
Okay,
a while ago, yeah.
and, we're required by law to, they have to be the safest. All of our investments have to be the safest type things we can invest in, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Page 4 of 18, road and bridge fund revenue. What's the miscellaneous?
Miscellaneous is, half of it's, the core mountain fees.
Oh, right,
I've got it on my report with, you know, it broke out, with on, or Deanna did, so I
okay,
didn't catch it.
okay. And what does LATV stand for?
That was one of those federal grants that came through,
Okay,
local something or another.
okay,
I think it was one that, Bennett and Dick Looper were, you know, kind of supplemental to, help and, secure schools.
okay. General fund expenditures on page 6. This, was it, this year's election that cost us that extra 7,000 or 8,000, or is it in preparation for next year's election?
Both.
Both, okay,
Yeah, no, and actually there's stuff on here that's finish up from last, you know, last November's election, but we didn't get all the invoices in until January, so.
okay,
Some of that was actually, for the cameras, security and stuff that we got grant money.
okay,
Some of that got reimbursed about 6,000 of that.
okay. And then, Office Emergency Preparedness, let's see, their budget was 65,000, year to date, their expenditures are like 30,000 more, is that all related to grants?
So, a chunk of that is, yeah.
Okay. I think I had anything more. Go to page 12.
well, while we're on that page 6 really quick, just-
Oh, sure.
there's the miscellaneous at the bottom of the general fund expenditures, that's, you know, almost, it's quite a bit more than we budgeted for too, so any particular reason or
It was-
any
it was-
particular things that?
It was some grant funding, like the election grant, election for, I mean, that was $6,000-7,000, there was a couple others. So, yeah, that we didn't have a line item for. There's something else in there. I can't think of it.
On page
I mean, it was all pretty much all, grants.
Okay. Now go to page 12 on custodian expenditures. Or the repairs for the boiler,
Repairs,
we're like way over budget on the repairs.
repairs on everything. I mean,
Okay,
we had an accumulation of repaired, boiler, elevator, street light,
Mhm.
sewer line.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, they're just what they shared where every time we turned around, there was something
sure.
needed to be repaired.
In this brand new building? In this
Yeah.
brand new building?
Brand new building. Fine. We should have 130-year warranty on these things.
Yeah,
And I assume the extra expenses and supplies were probably related to some of that stuff.
No, I think, to a certain extent, supplies, just,
Just went up. didn't it?
yeah.
Okay,
I mean, there's probably a couple of things that, that maybe they don't get normally, but I think just, everything just kind of exploded cost wise.
okay. That's all the questions I have there. Page 14, will you tell me again what we did with the area agency on the agency, aging, did we go give them 5,000? Did we give them 5,000?
Yeah,
Okay,
to keep, Terry at her current salary.
Salary.
okay, and that's reflective of that, Willie?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought that's meant what it be. And then, page 15, 18, emergency preparedness, personnel. We're up, we've expended a lot. Is that all grant related too?
oh, no, the reason, is his is broken out 50 in, emergency personnel and 50 in, public health. But I've been charging it all to emergency personnel, so it just, so it,
Oh, that half, so half,
Yeah,
it's
so-
really half of that.
so, yeah.
Okay. Share this is page 16 of 18. We had to, not we, sheriff had to do some pretty major repairs on one of the sheriff's vehicles, isn't that true?
There were a couple of repairs that they had to do, but one, yeah, they were pretty substantial.
Okay.
And actually Steve does a lot of the.
Does he?
maintenance
Oh.
on,
Yeah,
just changing oil and stuff.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it keeps them going pretty good.
Page. It's fund revenue, it's page. 2 is what it says at the bottom of the thing there. Go about,
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, it's,
so, we had budgeted 5,000 for courthouse. As far as escrow account, we were able to put in another 15,000 year to date.
yeah,
And that was just a grant, that was that grant you're talking
no,
about?
that was the,
Well, that's that interest. Okay, good. Great. All right. I got it. You guys got any questions?
did you have it?
No,
A couple here, we'll stick with the sheriff expenditures, because
What
we're
page-
there at,
what page, John?
page 16.
Okay.
Just, we're about 105K under on personnel on there.
Yeah.
And, I know Bruce has said that he's always looking to hire another person, but, you know, there's a pretty big budgetary request for increase this year to hire another person. And it's kind of like, if we're more than a person short already in salary, then what's why ask for that much more for personnel in the next year if we're already unable to kind of hire, or is he hoping to maybe find two?
No, he's hoping to find one. I think part of it is just the way, I mean, I think we actually had that extra person in the budget for last year
Yeah,
too, plus, you know, his new hire didn't come in till May, I think.
Yeah.
Or April, maybe.
yeah, it was beginning of summer sometime,
Yeah,
so, yeah,
yeah.
okay. And I know Bruce always does a really good job of staying underneath his budget, but it seems like we're constantly over budgeted by about 25%. While it's a great idea to stay under budget and all those kinds of things, it kind of maybe would make, you know, folks at the town and other folks a little bit more comfortable with increases if we actually budgeted for what we spend every year instead of over budgeting for money every year.
Our subtotals are like of the year, we're at 83% of the year and we're at 76 and 73% on the total there.
That is a good observation.
So, yeah, total wise,
we're
about
close.
where we need to be.
Yeah, okay.
And just from a budget standpoint. You budget as an expenditure if you think you're gonna spend it, otherwise you actually have to come back
And then,
and do a budget amendment.
yeah,
And, I mean, not that, you know, you can't do that, but,
It's easier to put it on there.
and then the other one that I kind of had is we have a bunch of these. On the two pages before 14. We have all these intergovernment expenditures, MSI, COG, fireworks donations, Silverton Clinic. Are those things that we kind of pay out at the end of the year?
yeah, most of them, yeah.
Okay, all right, good one. Just making sure.
Yeah, and like the clinic stuff, most of that today has been coming out of, public health. But now we've actually got, a nurse over there replacing Lois, so we'll start paying it, and, you know. Yeah, we just, you know, when we budgeted. I guess, yeah, we had budgeted, assuming that was all gonna come out, and then Lois left, and Terry worked for several months, and she didn't charge anything. And Lois was being covered by public health, so.
Yeah,
So yeah, we just now we need to we'll start pulling that out of the clinic.
yeah,
But yeah, most of these other things are all, if they don't get the invoice before somewhere during the year, at the end of the year, we send out checks to everybody that's on here, so.
okay,
Basically our contributions.
all right. That was all I had. Pete, did you have anything else?
No.
Scott, anything else?
Been anything.
All right. This is just informational too, at this point, right? We're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
You want a motion to accept that or not?
nah,
Okay,
I will try to get into getting these to you on a regular.
yeah, I was gonna say, I haven't seen one of these in a while.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
I mean, I should, because I get behind on them, so when I get them done, they're almost irrelevant.
Oh,
I mean, they're not
I-
irrelevant, but they're.
It's like reading the newspaper 6 months later.
Yeah.
No point.
you know, I mean, essentially you're getting the information through the treasury report and the warrants. I mean, everything that's being spent and everything that's coming in, but
Yeah,
this puts it in the budget format. And, you know, this is what you approved, this is where we're at here to date. You can see if we're going over or not. So, yeah, it's a good report. And I
Yeah.
will. It just, when Deanna changed software, you know, that just, the old program, the Pueblo program, was just so much nicer to use to get the information from. This one is still such a pain. But I think after almost 2 years, I think I've got it figured out.
you know, right around budget season is when these.
Well, and
So,
that's what I thought that too,
Yeah.
because we're right into budget. This gives you year to date through October, so it really gives you a better handle of where we're at on it.
yeah, I'm not sure it really helps us that much to see one, you know, in the first quarter of the year, but. Coming in second, third quarter. it starts
Yeah, oh,
to
yeah.
become more
Yeah.
important for sure, so, yeah.
No, and it is, it's just a good report.
Yeah, no, I like them.
Can we crank through either sales tax update or treasurer's report here, you think, before? Have our meeting, or is there something like,
Yeah, why don't we just do the treasurer's report?
okay.
You know, as you can see by the treasurer's report, we actually have a pretty good fund balance. And again, this was through October. So, you know, the last 2 months will knock it down because
Don't have money
our
coming in.
expenditures stay the same or go up, but our revenue drop because all our property tax is already collected. And I mean, we'll still get a little sales tax and various things, but we're in good shape. I think we ended up in a lot of good shape.
I do like hearing our administrator say that.
Yeah,
It looks good to me.
it's pretty good. Unless you guys have any questions on it, I bet we can try and get through sales tax in the next 4 minutes.
Okay.
The other thing that I put in your package just for information was the information from the Hard Rock 100. Their 2024 lottery and analytics, kind of interesting, to see where people are coming from.
Maybe they were able to pull it off at all this year.
I think they weren't sure if they're going to be able to or not.
Yeah, I feel like in years past, with less snow, they've said, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah, they were definitely persevering.
Yeah. And the runners out there digging out the path like it used to train back up in years
Even
ago.
made a tunnel up Mayflower there.
They did the work of the county dozer there.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Oh, and Cunningham, yeah. that's
Yeah,
right.
road of Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need a dozer, we just make Hard Rock 100 open on the road.
Yeah,
Good training. for
yeah, just get some Cliff bars and some
them. It's-
Gatorade. They like beer too, so.
I was just
I
looking
think
at,
they actually had fun doing that too.
yeah, I think that was.
That was a
Yeah,
short
they
second.
like type 2 fun.
Yeah. Very good.
Just looking at sales tax, Willie, it looks like, we're up about 13% so far.
Sales taxes,
Yeah.
sales taxes being real healthy.
Right.
Okay.
Hi there. Yeah, no. Paid for emergency services, sales tax, about the only thing that dipped down a little bit was lodging tax.
Lodging taxes dropped a little bit, but it's not, you know,
Not much.
it's been hanging in there pretty tight. You know, I mean, it's been behind all year.
Do you think that's because of the two campgrounds on the other end not having been as busy as?
I think that's part of it. You know, they were, I mean, the campgrounds were,
This campground was packed.
this one's been pretty full.
Yeah.
Even they weren't as packed as they had.
Is that right? Okay.
Pretty busy. I think they, you know, lack of OHVs, I mean, the campgrounds really were pretty dependent on OHVs, so that. Somebody said, Silver Summit had mentioned that, his demographics are changing, his clientele, is getting older and they're not traveling now. And so, and younger people are more into the, you know, the Sprinter vans and the.
Yeah, they're not buying those big giant Winnebagos, so.
They said that was part
I
of
wouldn't
it.
have even thought that.
Yeah,
And,
that makes sense.
and I think too, this was kind of common throughout the region, couple of comments I heard from other communities was that they, you know, with the COVID, there was such a demand, everybody jacked their prices up. And that demand wasn't there, but the prices are still up. So when the people were staying, weren't staying as long. So instead of being here 3 or 4 days, they were here 1 or 2 days. So, and then, I mean, that was just a comment from some of our neighbors, I don't know. And I don't know if, the EPA, workforce, their contractors had any impact or not. Because if you rent for more than 30 days at a time, you know, if you're renting by the night or a week or whatever, you gotta pay the lodging tax and sales tax. But if you're renting for 30 days or more, you're exempt from the lodging tax.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's possible. I can think of one just over here where that was always a vacation rental, but.
I think there was several.
There's a lot of rentals in there right now.
I think, several of them were just in motels down here as well.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, if they're there for more than 30 days, they're not paying lodging tax either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all in all,
It's pretty strong.
it's still pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Just as a note here, the town's sales taxes, just staggering increase again this year.
No, I mean, that's you know, that's what's amazing and, you know, and again, part of that is, inflation, you know, I mean, people are just charging more for everything.
Yeah.
But, those numbers are,
I mean, it's not quite double what it was in 2020, 2019, 2018, but it's
no.
60 to 70% higher
Yeah.
than it was in those years.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when we finish out, the year, not the calendar year, but the collection year, so. In February, when we get our sales tax, which will be December of this year,
Yeah.
and we'll put a report together and adjust those numbers for inflation
Yeah.
and see. How they look. I think you're gonna see a pretty good increase even with the
Yeah.
inflation.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we can move on to our next scheduled public hearing here, transfer of ownership of a liquor license from Silverton Mountain to HD2 Opco Inc. See any problems that got, you know, identification of who's in charge and. Oh, Pretty in line to me.
They all got fingerprinted and, nobody had too bad of a record with the FBI.
Because they didn't think it went these days.
Hudson, do we have to follow a protocol since it's a public hearing as far as introduction and
Yeah, we-
hear from these guys and then public
Yeah,
comment?
we do have to follow our public hearing. I mean, I think we've introduced the transfer of ownership at this point. Is there any discussion from either the applicants or the commissioners before we open up public comment?
I don't have anything. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners?
No.
At this point, if there's any members of our general public who would like to comment on the liquor license application in front of us for the transfer of ownership, please go ahead and speak now. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Any further discussion from the board? All right. Accept the motion to approve the transfer of the liquor license from Silverton Mountain to HD2 OpCo.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
it. I,
Aye. All right. Motion passes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Lugano will. I'll find it tonight. Lugano will have everything tomorrow and then send it to the state or what she needs to do with it.
That's all the stuff you gotta send in?
Yeah.
Holy
yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, I was very busy.
I was going, somebody had to have read all that.
Is there any stuff I can send tonight? Can I send some stuff tonight or does Ladonna have to do?
No,
something?
you look on these, we'll just get your signature and then
Perfect.
she'll send
She
everything.
calls me the next day and is like, hey, you gotta come and sign this.
As well do it while you're here.
Yeah, do you want me to just write down? She can help you guys do that.
How much snow did you guys get up there?
There's more up there than there's now.
Like 4 to 6 maybe, or? Maybe,
Maybe on the board.
yeah, wasn't a big storm.
All right. We have a few more minutes here before our next public hearing for the 2024 budget. We have a couple of these other items that we'll get. Do you want to go over those first here?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just, and.
Yeah.
you.
So basically what I put in front of you tonight was a couple of emails that I got from CTI and one from Capital One. As you probably are aware, the state legislature went into a special session over the weekend to try to reduce the burden of property tax. And so essentially what they did is they increased the deduction from your property tax or your property value by 55,000. So if your property was valued at 355,000, it'd be taxed at 300,000. And they reduced the rate for residential and multifamily residential from 6.756 to 6.7. So they reduced that a little bit.
But it says they're gonna reimburse us
No,
for the loss, right? It says,
not us.
it says,
Your school districts.
no, it says reimburse local government.
Yeah, if the increase was less than 13%.
Okay,
I mean, that, I haven't seen the final wording of the bill, but that was what was initially put in was, for local government, whose increases were less than 13%. And so school districts are gonna backfill, fire districts are gonna backfill. It doesn't look like we're gonna get backfilled. It's cost us about, according to Kim, she came up with a number of about $42,000, which isn't horrible.
Not, it's not as bad as it could be.
now this was, this passed the House. SB 001, did it pass the Senate too?
You know, I don't know exactly where they were. I thought they both,
I think they both went, it's on the governor's desk now,
yeah, that's what I thought was where they were at.
Oh,
by
yeah,
Denver News.
Same,
anyway.
same number, sorry.
So,
Well, I think that still doesn't help small counties as far as that. And they
uh,
also lowered the residential property tax rate, which kept getting lowered and lowered and lowered, so they're gonna lower it even more again.
so the other thing they're gonna do is actually set up a committee. And the CCI newsletter information spells that out, who's gonna be on that committee to determine how the property tax is gonna look like in the future. And so, and supposedly there's a petition out, or there's already a petition done to put on the ballot next year to reduce the assessed value back to the 2022 value. I haven't seen that, or seen anything official on it.
Right.
That's what Kim told me that she had heard. So. I think, you know, just for your guys' information, the other thing I put out was, you know, a little chart. The property tax revenues. If you look at the blue line, you know, it definitely shoots way up there, but then when you adjust it for inflation, it's really just getting back up to where it was in 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, from an inflation standpoint, we're just kind of getting back to where we were at 15 years ago.
Yeah.
What was the residential property tax rate, say like 10 years ago?
Oh, that's the other chart I put in front of you. Yeah, right there.
This one?
I mean, how much we collected or what they, so if you look at this, prior to 1983, it was at a rate of 30%.
Wow.
And it has gradually worked down to where it is right now at 6.7%. And commercial and other properties are still at
Yeah, no break.
9%.
No break for businesses.
There may have actually been I have to talk with Kim about that. There was some discussion prior to this legislation to reduce business down to like 27%. And I don't know if that went through or not. But yeah, I mean, you know, it looks like a windfall for us. Really, it just puts us back on solid ground, unfortunately. And, you know, I mean, I mean, you guys who have the option of doing a temporary mill levy reduction, if you feel so inclined. I think there's still questions about Tabor. If you do a temporary You know, and I think people have done temporary and gone back, but, there's that potential out there that if you do a temporary, you
Can't reverse it.
can't reverse it. I think it has been done, but there's always that possibility that somebody will challenge you before. I doubt that.
I think-
They would challenge us.
Considering how our expenses just keep rising and rising without a mill levy increase, we don't even touch that idea.
And, you know, and again, speaking of mill levy, I mean, we have not increased our mill levy for. I don't know when the last time.
20 or 30 years, though, I bet. With costs going up exponentially, especially with insurance, different things like that, for sure.
Well, I think also if you look at that, the capital watch. Thing, it said, you know, they are doing the paper refund.
180 million.
But they actually have a number in here for, I think somewhere I thought I seen. Yeah, $847 to individuals and $1,694 for joint taxpayers. So. You know, HH would have taken that, some of that money to. Reduce, property tax, so I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather see what the state legislature just did than see HH pass, so.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of fear that what the Senate and the House would come up with would be worse for counties than HH. But I think that looks pretty baseless to me at this point, so. Any further comments or discussion on? We can move on to our next public hearing, 2024 budget. Yeah. Any public hearing, any initial discussion from commissioners regarding our 2024 budget before we open it up for public hearing?
I mean, I have questions. Do you want to take those questions now or a little later?
I would kind of like to respect the time of the folks that have come to speak so that they can get on with their night and then we can continue on.
Okay.
You might decide to stay for it, but I'm not going to obligate you to. Does that sound fair enough?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, if there's any public comment, please go ahead.
I'm just here to advocate for Baker's Park funding. And I kind of hope to get on this agenda, but I blew it. I didn't realize it was going to be Monday. But if you guys don't mind, I can give you a quick update on where things are at. We had a super successful summer. We got 3.7 miles built, a little bit more than they had promised. The crew worked really well with the youth corps crew. And people are already up there, you know, walking on it, even though it's not open. And people seem to be pretty excited about it. So we're very happy with where we're at with what got done this summer. That's the good news. The bad news is that the GoCo grant is not going to come through for us this time. Yeah, we were a little disappointed to hear that. The good news on the GoCo front, though, is we had a call with them today. Austin was part of that, and Sally Barney as well. And they had initially told us that it was kind of 3 strikes, you're out, and you don't get another chance. That's not the case, and they are going to let us reapply, and they gave us a bunch of kind of feedback on what they'd like to see in their application. So, but it's going to be too late for this coming build season. So I've been in touch with IMBA. They've kind of been holding on to their people kind of in reserve, hoping that they come here and knock it all out next summer. So we're kind of going to go to plan B, still have them come. We still have about half of the CPW grant. So we can do another summer next year, just like this. reapply and then hopefully finish it up the following summer if everything works out with the GoPro grant. We're also looking at a bunch of other grants that we're also gonna apply for. So one of their comments was that they would like to see more support from local government. So that means you guys, and let me see the same thing, the town. So anything that you guys can do to help us with money would be awesome. And what was the tourism fund is something that I guess we hadn't really looked at until now. So that would maybe be a good thing to visit if that could be a source of funding there. So I think I'll leave it at that unless you guys have questions.
Just a question, there are definitely dirt bikes on that trail. Was that the work crew riding up to?
Yeah.
And BLM was okay with them riding dirt bikes on that trail?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious. I had a lot of people ask me, why are there dirt bikes?
The first time we saw them, we were like, who is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's how they get up there. Otherwise they'd spend all day walking.
Okay, that makes sense, especially if there's 3.7 miles built already then, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'd have to hike in, oh, there's an 8 mile day, so.
And
Okay.
plus they need to get fuel up for the mini excavator they're
okay.
using as well.
All right.
So, yeah.
The wheelbarrow would be a poor option for pushing up hills.
They actually had like an electric wheelbarrow that they were using to move tools along, but that would take forever also.
Yeah.
As far as visibility, it was quite visible with that first snow of the trail down here. But it was very well disguised in the summer, and I assume in the winter it's going to be disguised when it's covered in snow. Is that kind of what you guys' observation?
Yeah, for sure. And also once it's actually finished, right now it's just roughed in, it's wider. There's, you know,
that's
vegetation will come back, it'll narrow up and be
narrow that visibility of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's really the only question I had for you. So.
Just one other comment to the dirt bikes, talking to a few trail builders, they said that the extra compaction that you get from a motorized, you know, two-wheel track really helps cement in some trails and
I wouldn't.
just commentary that they had about, you know, building that trail in specific. Would
Does
that be
more
allowed? Because it might be a little, you know, a little firmer trail, a little more built in if that were an option. So I actually myself was up there the first time I saw the dirt bike tracks. I was like, I'm sure this is the work crew. This is actually probably a good thing for the overall trail, but yeah, they won't be allowed on the final.
Right,
Of course.
Yeah.
they're not hurting, it's a single track,
Yeah.
and it's not like they're roosting on the way up there and causing them, but they're, like you said, it's more of a compaction and just getting diesel up there.
It's transportation.
Functional.
It's not.
Functional, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is it BLM or Forest Service that allows e-bikes on bike trails?
BLM, and they will be allowed up there.
E-bikes will be
Yeah,
allowed.
class 1 e-bike.
Class one.
Pedal assist, not.
Okay, not the throttle 20 mile an hour guys. Okay,
Yeah.
that would be disappointing.
And that was actually a big thing with the funding agencies with CPW and GoCo too, was that they wanted to see multi-use, and e-bikes are considered a multi-use. So,
Okay.
just one other note, just based on our conversation today, it was a little disappointing for Clem and Lisa for sure, who put a ton of work in this, but you know, I participated in a similar meeting that we had, what was that, a year ago?
Yeah.
I think on the same thing, and it's disappointing to see a couple of the same comments come up, one of which was essentially, it gets worded different ways, but essentially that they question community support for the project, which we'll have to brainstorm, I guess, how we're gonna do that, because I don't know how, you know, letters of support from the county and the town and all the support letters.
Every organization you can think of in town, we've got support letters from, it's, yeah.
But I feel like a lot of that is coming from outside interest groups who have the ear of some of these grant reviewers. And I made it pretty clear to the GoCo folks that that's what I thought was going on, and how do we combat that, or, you know.
Because I mean, I've just heard comment after comment, myself included, that have walked that up there and they're just. Everybody just totally amazed with it and just think it's a great trail. In fact, you're probably gonna have to do a parallel trail here in about 5 years because it's gonna be.
Well, hopefully that, that trail will be kind of, for people biking and walking that. Anyway, so the traffic hopefully, and then people will be. coming
Traffic
down
will
and disperse,
dissipate
but
onto other parts of the trail. So
That's the goal.
I think during the peak fall color, we probably do Ernie's gate at the end there and charge a fee to do it because it's.
Oh, it's
gonna be
beautiful.
spectacular.
We went up during fall colors and it was great. Every time I've walked up there, I've never not seen somebody else show the community.
Yeah, no,
hiking
yeah,
there.
no, I like it, but I mean, all the trails in San Juan County are essentially straight up and straight down and, it's just so nice to have this nice relaxing trail going up and, yeah, it's just, it really is nice.
And I think that's something that would have been hard to include in GoCo applications before it was built, because we're all used to the trails that go
Yeah.
straight up and straight down, but that was a comment that Sally had, that she had taken her dad, who's near 80, up that trail straight from sea level, and he didn't have to stop and catch his breath once, and he wasn't stumbling, tripping over root balls and things like that. So I think that's going to be a really, really good benefit for the community, not just for bikers, but for hikers.
Yeah, no, for
pedestrians, folks.
seniors and for families,
Yeah,
well, hikers and bikers, I mean, I think it's just such a nice asset. And,
That's where the e-bike thing actually kind of comes in handy too, for seniors and people that are from sea level or whatever, they can just get a little bit of an extra boost and don't have to be sucking wind, so.
yeah, I don't know if any of you guys know Peter Jameson. He's a PA down in Durango, or orthopedic PA, but he can't pedal bike anymore, and he's in his 70s now. But he said this e-biking thing is great. I haven't mountain biked in 20 years, but now I can mountain bike again.
Peter Jameson is 70 now?
Yeah.
I don't know him for a long time. Yeah, wait a minute. Wow,
Yeah.
that would make me old.
well, the grant that the county is funding as bills come in, that was a Colorado Parks and One grant, correct?
correct,
Okay,
the one that they're currently under.
right. And then earlier in that, did you guys get a GoCo grant earlier in that or not?
We've gotten a few GoCo grants that are for the youth corps. So they've been
okay.
here 3 times now, I can't keep track, but yeah.
So this grant you guys are applying for is to use for more trail building once this 650,000 is used up, is that correct?
No, that is the 650, that's not right.
That's the one they hope to get,
Yeah,
Okay,
250, that was the one that we have.
right?
okay,
Yeah, this is the big one.
Yeah.
okay, I was just trying to
Alright.
break that down, so, okay,
No, I put it in the budget assuming that we were gonna have it, spend it,
okay.
but.
Yeah.
Are they looking for just more support from the community, more financial support from the community? I mean,
That's one of their comments was kind of like just looking for more diversified. Also financial support, so that's why we're also gonna try.
besides just from built in single track and the two governments, they want to see other support, I guess.
Other grants other than that.
Oh, I got you, okay.
So we'll work on that and see what we can do. But the other comment I guess I should make too is that they said that the part of the reason is that it's just super competitive these days for those grants. They said if it had been 10 years ago, they thought it would have been a slam dunk, but these days there are just a lot of people going after that.
Because it's the sport is expanding, I would assume.
One of their big comments is that they don't like to fund projects anymore that have singular use, and they felt like the single track society, and this is something that maybe we should talk about at some point further down the road, just that this, since this was a mountain bike only trail system, that they don't like to fund projects like that anymore. Like they don't want to fund just redoing your playground, they wanna see you have cross-country ski trails and, music in the park and things like that for it. They just don't like to fund singular use projects.
And this was a question I was gonna ask you. I know there were some issues about, disturbing the elk herd up there so that, you weren't able to build that upper portion that initially you'd wanted to, and there was gonna be some time restrictions, but, will we be able to snowshoe on that trail? Or at least what's in there now,
No, it'll be closed to all users in the winter,
all winter.
December 1st.
December 1st through whatever it is, April.
I couldn't remember what that was. That was a question because, ideally that would be a very nice snowshoe trail as well.
It would be.
Yeah,
Could you guys, though, just, even though the trail going up is supposedly just restricted to, is it listed as being restricted just to mountain bikes? Can you say it's a combined, or did you already say that? That it's a combined hiking and mountain bike trail, the trail going up, because that shows to me more use.
it is, and I think it's just a misperception on their part. It is very much also for hikers and runners, and I feel like we spelled that out pretty well in the grant application, but
I think if you just have some pictures of
people
hiking on it, on what you built, that's the, it's the only
Yeah,
thing that I can
exactly.
think of.
The oldest guy we can find in town to go hike up there is what we need to find.
No, when I walked,
And the youngest.
when I walked it, there were runners, there were
Bring David,
hikers,
I'll
there were
bring
bikers.
There were hikers?
Yeah,
Okay, well, they weren't supposed to be there.
it was just a family.
Okay,
And it just, no.
I've seen a couple up there too.
yeah, no, I imagine.
Yeah, it's,
We're not looking to police that, that's.
yeah,
But if you can show that there's, just prove to them, even though it might say that, just prove to them somehow that there is multi-use on a lot of that. Cause like you were saying, they don't wanna fund something that's just singular, but that's not a singular use, it's multi-use for sure.
and I was, so on their front page of the GoCo website of the projects that they're, really promoting that they've funded. Number one on there is the Palisade Plunge Trail, the 26-mile, 6,000 vertical foot trail from up on the Grand Mesa all the way into Palisade. And I brought that up, and like this trail system, and that is, we're not talking about very different projects here. We're just talking about, and that trail, nobody's going to go hike 26 miles from up on the Grand Mesa probably into Palisade.
Right.
That's pretty much solely a biking trail. And they said, just the projects that we're funding these days are very different. But I thought it was very interesting that GoCo is very much promoting that they funded a sole use mountain bike trail, and then they're telling us in the grant application that they won't fund a single use mountain bike trail.
Not different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the point.
It's kinda-
We're not giving up.
Just kind of speechless there, so.
Yeah, disappointing meeting for sure, but yeah.
But at least they're gonna let you apply again,
Yeah,
whereas, cause you were saying the 3 strikes you're out, but at least they're gonna let you apply again, you just can't, it's too late to apply for next year, but.
exactly, yeah. So, and that's what I'm focusing on, that's the good news, is that we will be able to apply again, and we have money left to keep moving next summer, so we're just gonna keep plugging away at it, and we'll have more of a proof of concept, which will help that application, and we'll tweak things and have different photos of the trail in action. Hopefully, next time will be 4th time's the charm.
They did really like when I mentioned, that we had created this funding mechanism through lodging tax, that money that we previously couldn't utilize for a project like this. Now we have a source that we can collect revenue to start enhancing through the visitor enhancement
Sure.
funding that we had. They really liked that, and they said, make sure you include that in there. So that's good. I don't know, one of those things is something that we'd love to create kind of a fund balance so that we can help with your match money
Right.
and in there. And it's kind of like, so if we But if we continue to do, you know, like annual funding of it, is that something that we can create as match money, or is that something that we have to allocate kind of every year to show our
I see.
support of the project, you know? So I don't know how we balance that in the grant application, or,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, the difference between this project and the one at Palisade is we're talking, you know, 20,000, 30,000, they were probably talking 100,000 or.
their GoCo's funding of that project was $1.8 million.
Yeah, so I mean, probably.
And then CPW had another $600,000-$700,000, I think,
Yeah,
that's on that.
the local product contribution was probably somewhere between 150 to 250,000 or something. I'm just guessing, maybe not, but
Yeah,
you know, so I mean, percentage wise, if we throw up 20%, you know, or 20,000, that's a big chunk of money for us, but it looks like peanuts to them.
That's-
the
that
problem.
was definitely like a,
Mm,
something that we, you know, talked about, you know, that just San Juan County is, you know, one of the 3 and the 4 counties in the state, like Castilla County and other places. Huge federal land chunk, not a ton of revenue coming in from those federal lands. You know, and that we're very excited that we've been able to, you know, kind of glean what we can for the BLM support of this project, but for other things like law enforcement, we just get almost nothing. So it's tough for a small county like ours to make a huge impact.
right.
And Clem brought up that point, like, you know, $55,000 in a community like this looks like $5 million in Denver.
55 million.
Or
I did the
55
math on it.
Yeah.
Took out if you
Yeah.
like someone in Denver got 55 million for their local government.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah, so we brought that up, you know, and and they were like, they also brought up, just that, you know, they brought up, well, you guys have these other projects going on, you got the river corridor, you got Kendall Mountain and things like that. And we were like, you know, in these last meetings, they said this might be the GoCo money that you get for the next 5 to 10 years, and we said, yeah, we all just have discussed that at the county and the town level for government, and we're okay with that. And these other projects have other funding mechanisms, whether it's a RFPP for a private public partnership, or, you know, potentially some EPA or Brownsfield money for river trail and signage and stuff like that. But this is, you know, these are the funding mechanisms, these are that we have for funding projects like this. I hope that'll land in the next grant application.
Yeah, I do too. I've seen Lisa's hand go up a couple times and then go down.
Sorry, Lisa.
No worries. You guys are doing a good job of covering all the points as the conversation kind of unfolds. I did just want to underscore the fact that they said having kind of an ongoing funding mechanism in place. If it's these lodging tax dollars that are being allocated for the visitor experience or whatever it is, and it was less important to them how much that was. I think what was more important was that they saw that there was an ongoing commitment and that there would be funding on an ongoing basis, even if it was a small amount. So I think that's the only thing I really have to add to what I've heard Austin and Clem contribute to the conversation as far as our discussion with GoCo earlier today and their perspective on things. You guys have done a good job. Thank you.
Lisa, when you say continuing, do you mean from a maintenance standpoint or a funding, grant match standpoint?
So that's a good question, Willie. And I think, you know, in the short term, next 3 to 5 years, what we're probably talking about is construction funds, right, to make the project happen. I don't know that we're at a point yet where we've talked with GoCo about maintenance funding and how that's going to work. And I think Single Track has some assumptions about how they will manage that type of work. There are, of course, trail maintenance funds available from CPW and other sources, but it might be helpful to have local match toward maintenance. I think Single Track is also planning on leveraging a lot of volunteer efforts. We might wear out our welcome a little bit if we keep going back to GoCo and the Colorado Youth Corps Association, asking for a youth corps crew to come in year after year after year. So we might need to be thinking about that not being always 100% grant funded, but potentially paying for some of that effort. But I think we can leverage volunteers there as well. So I'd say in the short term, we'd be looking at that as match money for other grants for construction. In the long term, if we are applying for maintenance grants, possibly some maintenance match. I think what they were concerned about both for town and county is to see that you all are committed to seeing recreation projects move forward and that you've got some kind of mechanism for doing that, a line item in your budget, some source of funding that into the future, whether it be Baker's Park or another project. We talked quite a bit today about the perimeter trail and the plans that the town has around that. And, I think they would want to see the same type of forethought for any recreation projects in the community, whatever it may be. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that helps, that's very helpful.
I didn't hear the word maintenance mentioned once.
Okay.
So I think at least initially what they're talking about is like, if you're coming and you're asking for grant money, we want to see annual contributions.
Yeah.
You,
And I'm
you
of course extrapolating into the future, thinking about what we might need going forward. But the conversation today was really focused on getting the trails built.
Yeah, I just asked that because some grants that's, it's like, okay, we'll give you a chunk of money and build it, but if you don't have the money to keep it maintained,
like a swimming pool or something
yeah,
like that.
that type of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on that it was for the construction and not for future maintenance. From a legal standpoint and budgeting standpoint, we can't commit anything. We can't commit, all we can commit now is 2024 funds. We can't say, every year for the next 10 years,
5
we're
years,
gonna take $20,000 out of this fund and put it in, because every year the board has to make that decision.
Yeah.
Short of doing a bond issue, to where the voters say, we're gonna generate this amount of money and it's gonna be specifically to pay off building the trail. I think what we can show is that we did create a fund using tourism dollars for visitor enhancement, and that is, construction of a bike trail qualifies for use of that fund, and that the commissioners are very supportive of. We just can't, when you go in with the grant application, we can look and see how much money we got in the pot and how much of that we want to use on this project. And that's why I kind of threw out that $20,000 range, because I think that's probably pretty reasonable until we get that fund built up a little bit, in 5 years from now, we'll probably do 100,000. But let's hope this thing is built before then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's understood. I think GoCo was very, they were excited about the idea that there was some kind of a mechanism in place that would allow for funding this type of thing, not necessarily this specific project, but us being able to say that in the grant application, that these funds are available for this type of project.
Which they are. That's what we voted on with the tourism dollars.
In our letter of support, we can highlight that as well. Is that, we support this project, and in fact, we created this fund to help fund these type of projects, and we're very supportive of the Baker's Park Trail. I think that's probably about as close as we can get.
Okay, that's a much better, I think that's the best way to highlight that, is to put it in our letter of support and have just kind of like a footnote or a reference to it in your guys, because they only have like 7 pages to get all this information in to give to people too. So it's like trying to cram as much as you possibly can. Every word counts.
Huh. And volunteer hours count as in kind on a match.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah, and they
I mean, I was a little surprised. It's like, I mean, the town and the county have been putting money towards this every year for the last 3 years now, I think, and. Then we have the in-kind work for the parking lot and things like that. I thought that was pretty good for contribution from our local
Yeah.
government,
Well,
but
I
they didn't agree.
Yeah, I mean, it shows our support, and if, you know, if they looked at our budget, they would see that.
That's,
We didn't have one.
that brings
Yeah.
it back to that point, you know, we have a teeny little budget, but Mason County has a huge budget, you know, Denver, Boulder County, all those.
Yeah.
Huge budgets, so,
Yeah,
yeah, you can't compare
yeah. But they are,
them, sounds like it.
yeah,
You know, my other thought is, you know, there's probably infrastructure money out there. Oh, I know there's infrastructure money out there for bike trails or bike paths. I don't know how you could make that. I don't know if any of that would be available to bike trails. You know, if you're gonna put a bike path, you know,
Right.
on Green Street, you'd probably go out and find a pretty good chunk of money without too much problem with it. And make that translate to something on the mountain. I don't know.
yeah, that's like.
Do you know, but do you know of anybody who's tried that? I mean, I'm
I
just
haven't
out of
heard.
curiosity, you know.
The chip seal grant that they got over in Lake City, that was a portion of it for sure,
That was
because it was a
probably-
multimodal, so when I was looking into the funding for
Yeah,
that.
they included bike path as part of the.
That's part of it.
I see, I got you.
Yeah. Which I think is why like looking through grant application stuff, I just kind of breezed by that one, because I wasn't thinking about.
Yeah.
And to me, and on the face of it, it looks a whole lot more like, we'll give you some money to improve your road, but what we're really trying to do is. Get people to put pedestrian and bike paths on the sides of roads. So, for that grant, we'll talk about that in commissioner reports probably, but it's. Yeah, I hope we didn't miss the boat on that, because that grant is this COVID money, that's ARPA money, that's. Pretty much, they'll probably do one more round of it in the spring. And
Okay.
Yeah. What do you guys think for ask for this year? Do you think the $10,000 you've been contributing is enough, or would you like to see more for that? I'm asking.
We'll take as much as we can get, especially in light of, you know, that we won't be getting the GoPro money, and we wanna try to get as much built this summer as possible. Yeah.
In the past, we've kind of dug into some deep corners of funds that we've had, you know, to be able to fund this project. Is that with our, you know, kind of healthier fund balance, are we in a kind of a precarious position for funding things like this? Or is there, I mean, obviously the visitor enhancement money is there.
The only thing hanging over us is the special legislation. I mean, are we gonna have to revamp our budget if that comes into play, these,
That would be 2025,
okay,
if it does, I mean, I think probably, you know, what we do is, we just, I mean, we'll have this year's enhancement money, which we just spent 2,000 of, so it's still 30,000.
Yeah,
And we'll have next year that will probably be in that same ballpark. And we'll just, you know, show it as, you know, maybe 50,000 in expenditures, and, you know, it would be, you know, not that we would necessarily spend all of that, but that it would be available to spend if, you know, for match or for, you know, or a portion of it, depending on whatever you guys wanted to do.
it'd be almost better to be using this kind of money for match than just building bike trail. I think it'd be better for match, because we can just lever so much more money.
I mean, if we had, you know, if we took, you know, essentially 25,000 out of what was generated this year and the same for next year, then you'd have 50, or you could even, because it's a multi-year, GoPro grant, you know, you could probably throw 3 years in there and you're talking about, you know, possibly $75,000 worth of match. Which is, you know, now you're talking about
Yeah, that's a good thing.
for fairly
Yeah,
significant money and it, you know, it. I mean, if we could take 75,000 and leverage it, you know, for $750,000 grant. You know, that's a pretty good return of our money if, you know, if we spend 75,000 to get $75,000 worth of trail work done, that, you know, that's not a horrible thing, but.
Yeah, and I don't know how much we will spend this coming summer. I mean, I think it's really more about getting us to the finish line where we have the funding for the entire trail. Yeah. But it's really more to just kind of demonstrate it to GoCo and other funders that you guys back it. And we'll make sure we spend the CBW money next summer and whatever match we need to provide with that.
Well, and I'll just chime in that right now I have over $100,000 of grant applications, either that are pending or I'm shortly going to submit, that we will need to demonstrate match for those. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. There are definitely other grants that we can go after. So, you know, I think we can definitely leverage money from the county and multiply those dollars. So yeah, that's just something to think about, is it's not just GoCo that could potentially, that the county could potentially be matching. And the other thing I wanted to ask a question about actually is conservation trust fund monies. And I know the town is a recipient of those. I don't know if the county is, but that was mentioned in our
We
meeting
don't have
today
very
as
much,
well.
so.
We are, after 30 years, we're up to $10,000. We get
Wow.
essentially, we get about 700 a year.
which I
Okay.
think 2 years ago, I think that's the piggy bank we robbed to support Baker's
Yeah, we
Park.
already used that, yeah.
At least 5,000 of it anyway. And I definitely feel like that's certainly like a part of what we can do, but yeah, it's nothing compared to the money that we can generate through the lodging tax revenue now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
The estimated balance this year is 80. Ending balance is 8,000 total, so there's not much in there. But I mean, it's certainly part of it, you know, that we can get, because part of it, I think, is trying to continue to build that lodging tax funding for this too. Like, is there the ability to do like 10,000 out of the lodging tax money, and then like maybe like 5,000 out of the conservation trust, and 5,000 other dollars? That way we can continue to kind of build that fund for future grant money. Or would you prefer to see us use, you know, like 20,000 out of the lodging tax money and save those other rainy day funds for?
you know, I mean, I think it depends on what other requests you might get for use of it, but but yeah, I think my preference would be, hey, let's keep it let's keep it in the visitor enhancement money.
Okay, all right,
It's just a little easier and cleaner track in it.
for sure. How do you guys feel about the contribution to single track this year?
From lodging tax
From
money?
lodging tax
Yeah,
money?
I don't have a problem with that.
No, yeah.
Have there been other requests come in or?
No, just, you know, just the one we had last week, so the San Juan to go on for the.
Okay.
For the window.
And the creative district, yeah.
I mean, well, you know, I'm sure we will get a few, so you know, I think if we can keep some money in there for small ticket items.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's great, but I think, you know, we carve out like 20,000 out of the 30 for single track. I don't think that's a bad way to go.
Okay. That sounds
Great.
good.
That's awesome, yeah.
Doubling our contribution, utilizing some of that money, and then building some more of it so that we can say that, hey, we're building this for matches. Does that help?
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, well, thank you guys for the update. I know that was
Yep.
a large portion of our.
Yeah, and thanks for
Budget discussion.
letting me hear, hijack and moving through.
Thank you, guys.
We got
All right.
Yeah.
big budget to worry about, so I'm gonna let you get through it.
All
Yeah,
right, you guys, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
You guys.
Thanks, have a good night.
All right, well.
Go to
Is there any other public comment before we close this public comment portion of our budget meeting? All right, seeing none, we're going to close the public comments section of our meeting here and open up to discussion by the board.
So let me just ask you a few questions, Willie. Just looking at page 1, I'm looking at the county barn. We get revenue of 21,000 and we expend, revenue of 21,000. Is that just what you budgeted for maintenance and that's what we spend on maintenance?
You know,
Or
it's
what is it?
essentially, we take it from. We put it into, escrow account, the county barn escrow account,
Okay,
and then, from the county barn escrow, we make we make our monthly pay, or annual payment, so that 21,000 is the
county barn.
For the one on-
Gotcha.
animals.
Okay. We, on gravel, we had a revenue of 5,000 and we spent 50,000 on gravel this year.
No, that's estimated for next year.
Next year.
Okay,
That's one of those that we put in,
not, and we might not necessarily use that.
Right.
We just put it in every year just in case. Okay. All right.
Lord knows we need it,
Boy,
right?
everywhere I drive, we definitely need it.
Not necessarily related to line item here, but maybe to save Pete some breath later on our commissioner's report, how'd your meeting with Cat go?
No, really good. I mean, Willie and I were both there, okay to, I think it's very promising, don't you?
I think it's budget related.
It really is. I mean, we had well, I'll let Willie talk, because he's better with financial than I am, but we did have the actual financial gal from Albuquerque who has authority, right? And it was very promising. I mean, the fact that we're switching over, we got rid of one rep that wasn't helping us anymore, and we're kind of retiring to daily, and they've seen that. We discussed everything from motivators to dozers and new needs, and they know they need to sharpen their pencils and make a better deal for us.
Yeah.
And we let them know about the deal we did not get from John Deere for the motivators.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I basically said, now's the time. If you guys want the county back, it's time for you guys to pounce and sharpen your pencils and make some stuff happen. And they were very agreeable to that, I think.
essentially what we asked them for was to put together some numbers for to replace the county loader.
Yeah,
See if we
Start there.
yeah,
squeeze that into this year's budget, or if we're gonna have to move it to next year's budget. And they also informed us that the water truck should be done by the end of December.
Yay.
Should arrive, yeah.
just in time to be a Zamboni.
But the bottom line is, this is the first time with, again, lawyer not here, but I'll keep out of trouble. The other rep was not even communicating with us on.
Yeah.
I know, I've been there. I know you've probably contacted, I've been there with Anthony when he's tried to contact him several times. I've tried to contact him. He doesn't answer Louis' calls, so she's actually on top of it. And I mean, just the whole communication piece is way better.
We talked about, the dozer,
Okay.
the one first dozer that, we had refinanced that 3 years of payment and then $1 and we own it. And we've got 2 years left on the.
On the-
On the
on
smaller
the
one.
end, yeah,
And, you know, talk about doing something similar when that lease comes up is, you know,
Yeah.
extend it for a couple more years and then, you know, with.
Do a buyout,
With
lease
the
buyout.
buyout.
Yeah,
And they seem to think that there'd be no problem with doing something like that, so.
Yeah.
So,
you know, again, it might be. But looking at our budget, it might be a while on the motor graders, cause they're still,
yeah. I mean,
cause we still did that, it's not like something we can turn around and do that next year. But when it comes time to.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can get a heck of a lot better deal.
yeah,
You know, I think they're ready to. Come back.
but it's positive to hear, doesn't sound like they were, you know, showed up with their, you know, portfolio, we cannot do these deals right now, but it's.
No, they're working on it, they're working on it now, I mean, they want us back.
Good,
And that's the bottom line is, and like I said. I've been in the. Private sector, I've been buying equipment for a long time, for over 20 years and. You know, what we got offered and, you know. The service at John Deere and Honda is excellent, but that deal with the motor grader is probably one of the worst deals I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's horrible, and they're aware of it. You know,
And we kind of got stuck with. John Deere is our only option for motor graders. Because they're the only ones that offer a steering wheel.
yeah,
Everybody else.
another
is
good point.
joystick,
yeah,
And our older operators.
yeah,
Weren't having any of it,
Gonna have
And-
yeah,
and that's the other thing is, right, that's coming up, and that'll change also.
Yeah.
But I think if Chat still makes a motor grader with a steering wheel, you know, and that's the whole thing, you know, we thought it was only. The only deal, and it's not, and like you said, with a certain amount of churn, we're gonna feel. It won't, you know, there won't be a point anymore.
yeah, those are big ticket items that we have to
Huge ticket items, yeah.
look at. Speaking of big ticket items, I didn't see anything specifically in the budget related to, the hospital and the heating system and that, are we
Good point.
kind of,
Yeah, no, actually.
Very good point.
If you look at, I realized today that, it didn't pick it up in, escrow accounts. Courthouse, we've got 62,000 in there now. We budgeted, 10,000 to put in this year, but we've already got whatever, we're 12,000 in interest, so. We're gonna bump that up from 20 up to 20,000. No, we budgeted 5,000. We do have some expenditures, grant expenditures. But what I put in was 50,000 into escrow next year, so that would bump this up to around 90,000, 90 to 100. So I think that would. I mean, I know we talked about doing it in 2025, you know. And we could spend, and it would probably, we could probably spend some time maybe getting a grant next year, but I think if we can do it at all, put it in next year, I think we need to, you know, when a week before we needed to fire up and our employee, or not our employee, but our contract person hurt his back. It's like,
yeah,
what are we gonna do?
It was
yeah,
I mean, there wasn't
a little dangerous, yeah.
yeah,
I think if we can come up with something, you know, install it this summer, you know.
Wasn't that part of their research though, was to also investigate a little bit of. With David, wasn't it to investigate a grant or no?
No, they were just.
They're just studying
they
it,
were
just studying it,
they were just
okay,
looking to look at
okay,
some
got it.
options.
Yeah.
No, you know, I mean, most of the grant funding, well, the primary one would be DOLA. And, you know, their big concern would be one that we're doing something that's, environmentally friendly. There are some issues with even DOLA anymore because, you at a certain point, and this may come in underneath it, but we just barely scraped in the last time with DOLA, is, they really want you to essentially, you get money to redo a building or something like this, they want you to go in and bring it up to, I don't remember which level it is, but,
The building code.
no,
Like 88 or
energy
something,
efficient, you know,
oh,
the gold star, the
Yeah,
whatever.
We're caught in a
Yeah.
historic quandary there, aren't we?
yeah, no, we are.
I
mean,
These windows,
We can't,
The primary way you bring that building in energy efficient is you replace the windows, you get the state historical fund
right,
upset, so,
yeah.
I mean, I think. we
kind of
could
a tricky
probably-
situation.
Yeah, no, it is.
probably
You don't wanna
If we could
Yeah.
just
set one to
Yeah.
get the other.
we use that grant money somewhere else.
I think we're in a tight enough spot and it's been enough years with that, that it's probably what we're gonna be.
Yeah.
looking at. Are we supposed to get when were they proposing on bringing us back the engineering plans?
I think they were pretty close to it. I got something from David Singer the other day that he was looking at what they had, so,
All right, good,
That'd be good to
yeah,
get an update.
and comments, so.
yeah,
So we should have something, matter of fact, that's a good point. I'll get back with him.
back to the line items here, other ticket items you guys have.
Just a comment, Willie, this is on page 10. Looking at fund revenues, for road and bridge, we budgeted almost 730,000 in 2023, and now we've dropped it down to 556. What are we losing in revenue sources there?
If you go to page 13,
Okay,
that's a breakdown of the revenue. EPA cooperative agreements, we were hoping for
oh,
110,000. And
that's not the water truck, that's, we
Well,
were hoping for something else from the cooperative.
when we put this in, it was partially for the water truck, but also, which they actually paid for, but also for the operator to run the water truck for the same.
Okay,
So. And obviously, we didn't.
but that's, there's something else missing, because the difference is like.
Well, and then there's that
50.
75,000 LAPV, and I think that may have just all got. I've got to go back and look at that, but I think it may have all just gone into the general fund.
Okay, because it's like 150,000 or more difference, so. Okay, and I'm just looking in fund revenue, the Amble Mountain Workforce Housing, is that from sale of lots? We're about 100,000, you're gonna budget another 100,000 that we did over 2023. As far as revenue is, are you anticipating sale of lots? Where is that?
Yeah. That was,
Okay.
that was sale of one, but from a practical standpoint, as far as the apartments go, we're coming in about $17,000 our revenue above expenditure.
That's really good.
That's good.
You know, let you set aside that money. Then workforce housing, as far as escrow, you're in a budget 64,000. Is that also coming from sale of lots or?
No, the workforce housing, 64,000.
Yeah,
That's a lodging tax.
okay. Oh, because part of lodging tax was earmarked for portable housing. So that's a big chunk.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I've got to go back and figure out how. I mean, I think I've got this in workforce housing escrow as well as
There's,
Anvil Mountain.
yeah, there's two of them.
Yeah, I probably need to just do it in.
Okay,
I mean, it doesn't make, it, it's not gonna have any real impact
okay.
on fund balance or anything, just to clean it up.
Page 11 of 41, the town contract from the sheriff is about 65,000 more as far as revenue. Is that coming to us because of Bruce's proposed extra deputy?
Yeah.
Okay. Go down.
Well,
about-
I know, Austin, one of the things that, was we budgeted 20,000 in jail for sheriff, and we're at like,
10,000.
Yeah, we're
No,
we're
we're
not
like-
even
we're
1,000.
we're not-
Oh,
We've been really
Yeah,
lucky.
but that one year we had.
We've been really lucky.
We had 40,000.
Yeah, that was,
oh, yeah, no,
the Salazars have moved.
we would have spent.
Oh, sorry.
Is that fund that's worth creating an escrow balance so that we can kind of choose year by year, build up a fund balance, so if we have a bad year for jail, that we can cover that bill, or?
Hmm.
Let me think about that. I mean, the advantage to doing it this way is 60% of it comes from somebody that is in San Juan County.
There you go. Okay.
Just moving on, I'm still on page 11, the IGA with town of Silverton, went from 14 to 48,000. What's the difference there really?
Actually, it's actually gonna be dropped down to about 12,000.
Okay,
That was your kind of a placeholder. I finally got solid numbers from Gloria
okay,
today, actually. Some of the initial numbers that got thrown out were a few months ago were a little out of whack.
okay. Then just drop down to veterans, it almost doubled. Where's that extra revenue coming from?
Veterans
Yeah.
comes from the state.
Hmm.
And they've just, we've been budgeting, the 7,000 in the last couple of years. It's actually been around 14,000.
Okay. That's all I got on revenue. Here's a question on page 14 of 41. As far as the department ran on Anvil Mountain Workforce, we budgeted 105. The 2024 budget, is that 140,000 show full capacity? Is that what that's showing? Okay. Okay, go to page 16. Just a comment on our general operation expenditures budgeted 3 million in 2023, but almost 4 million in 2024.
Yeah.
So our expenditures have gone up by 1 million, or is that?
Oh, yeah, that's including, I mean, that was a $650,000 grant from GoCo.
Okay,
I was gonna ask if that was involved in that, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, we had $1 million in grants budgeted, of which
okay,
GoCo was a pretty good chunk of that.
okay. Then I'm sure the emergency services fund, let's see, budgeted 938, the budget will be 972. Just because there's more requests for more money out of that fund, is that what that is? Another 35,040. I'm on page 16, emergency services fund. Expenditures were 938,000 for 2023. And budget for 2024 is gonna be more,
Yeah,
just because there's more requests.
there's more, but
Okay, all right. Okay, going to page 17. There, on commissioners, clerk, treasurers, is this upcoming year, a year that was a mandated jump, and
no.
it's not, this is
Be out after the elections, yeah.
say that again, Will.
It'll be after the elections next year, so
After the,
2025 will be the increases for the elected
okay,
official salaries.
all right. But when I was looking at expenditures, we were showing for commissioners, for just about everybody, a jump. Is that like cost of living? What is it?
For the electeds, I mean, for most of these offices, it's just bumping up the line items for inflation. For the offices that have non-elected in them, there's cost of living.
Okay,
If employees.
but even for like, say, commissioners,
Well, and any
going
for
from
the
157 to
even
162.
going to go up because health insurance went up.
Okay,
All right.
all right, that makes sense, and that's why treasurer went up, why assessor went up, because they're all expenditures with clerk, treasurer, as far as personnel, everything went up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just more of an insurance thing. Okay. Page 22, which is sheriff, we're looking at as far as personnel, that's insurance and that extra deputy.
And cost of living for anybody.
Okay, and then our dispatch went up another 5,000.
Dispatch, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, we budgeted 19, but it came in at 23. It's like,
okay.
so I
That
budgeted 24 for this year.
that seems to be the department with the biggest jump in budget.
Yeah.
From what I can see.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see in there, you know, fuel, we budgeted 16, we're coming in at 17. I'm budgeting 17.5 for next year. You know, prices go down a little bit, we won't spend that if they go up.
Right.
I think that won't be
At
enough.
least yeah, at least you sort of prepared. Okay. As far as health department, she's just starting to lose some of her grants. That's page 25.
She actually,
I guys looking at this one, it's ELC enhancement from 350,000 in 2023 to 56,000 in 2024. Is that just, we just lost a COVID grant, or what is it?
well, part of it was, when she gave me her numbers, most of her grants are, based on the state calendar year, so it's
Oh.
July 1 to June 30th.
Okay,
So basically, she was giving me what she had
I got
for
you.
the first 6 months, and it's like, I need to know what you're gonna have for the second 6 months.
Sure, sure.
And so she's got me another set of numbers that
Okay, because it just seems,
I mean, obviously, she's not gonna have the kind of funding she's had for the last couple of years, but she felt like there was enough, after talking to the state on some of these grants, there was enough money to keep her pretty much
for another year.
status quo for one.
Okay.
For 2024.
All right. Looking at coroner, bigger budget in 2023, that was so we could buy a vehicle.
That was for the
Okay.
purchase of the vehicle.
All right. Okay, that, I answered that one already. As far as road and bridge, that's page 28. You budgeted 40,000 on fuel, but you're budgeting 55,000 just to cover in case things do go up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, we budgeted 40,000.
Right, last year, or this year, I mean.
We, year to date in September, we spent 48,000, depending on, you know,
It could
I mean,
be
when you
up to-
balance that out, that's 65, so actually I'm coming down at 55,000.
Okay.
But we, you know, I mean, if we have another winter like last year, he's gonna be way up there. If we go back to
Sure.
kind of a more normal winter, you know, I think the
Okay,
55.
and prices jumped and then they've fallen again too. So.
Yeah.
Equipment repaired, it looks like, we had a lot more costs for equipment than we expected.
Yeah, a lot of that was right, it was in that dozer blade.
Mm,
And
okay.
we, I mean, and we got off easy on that.
That's 'cause,
They-
Rusty
they did the
Yeah,
work themselves.
Rusty almost saved us 25 grand on that.
Yeah.
That's a,
And there's a big greater expenditure they saved us a little money on as well, right? They had to rebuild like the housing.
yeah,
right
the
underneath
wings
it,
and
the
the,
wings.
yeah, and those are getting
Yeah.
old.
No, that's great that those guys can do that.
I'm gonna, if you don't mind if I interject
go
on
ahead,
that,
yeah.
on that, we just did our resolution today. We lost, as far as I'm concerned, you guys know, we almost lost two guys instead of one. I mean, with his welding, his mechanic and what he can do.
Yeah.
You'll never get a guy for that price. Right?
Mm.
I mean, we've been really, really lucky. With him leaving and Louis leaving, we all know, we hope he doesn't, but it's inevitable. I think we need to budget some more money to hire one immediately and the possibility of two. I'm gonna throw that at you guys. I mean, all of a sudden we could be hurting really bad without personnel.
Two young guys with,
Yeah.
some experience, but not much.
Well, or one, I mean, if you can get a guy with experience, but at least two young guys, yeah,
Yeah.
to learn.
The good thing about the young guys is one can weld and mechanic and the other one is a decent mechanic.
Correct.
Yeah, which is.
But there's just those
real
two.
good. It's just.
Well, it's great that we have those guys, but I think we need,
So what I have in the budget is.
Okay.
4 positions.
oh, you do? What page?
It's
41
41 to 41.
40.
Back.
There you go. See, thank you.
So we've got, you know, the supervisor, the foreman, will be directly now, and then, 2 equipment operators. Which is Matthew and then whoever, you know, someone,
The unknown is
unknown.
where we will go back to 4 again, right?
Yeah, the problem
Okay.
is it really puts our fund balance for road and bridge in a
If we do the fourth person.
tight situation. Now, I think I can offset some of that with, I mean, I think that fourth person is gonna need to be the water truck operator and, you know, have his salary or portion of his salary be paid by EPA. And I think
That might help us with,
make that.
Yeah.
Make that.
That might help us too, what you're talking about too, if we needed, like maybe extra part-time person in the summer too. Maybe we can justify it through that water
Right.
truck operation.
I'm just worried when, like I said, the guy with experience. Like when you put an ad in the papers. For Louis' position, yeah, I'm kind of worried about that, you know, that's gonna be a big deal. You can get anybody off the street to be an operator. With experience. We won't have any.
Oh, we'll lose almost 70 to 80 years. of
Well, we've already
experience.
think about it with Mike.
There's 30.
And
right? Yeah.
you already got 100 years experience, I mean, you're.
And then our two new guys, that's.
Right.
Got 1 year.
It's like throwing them to the wolves, just could happen in the middle of the winter and not to mention spring and the plowing.
Right,
That's.
And that's, to me, that's almost a little bit dangerous, because you want that mentorship for
got to,
2 or 3 years, you know.
you do, and. You know, I know Dave even said he would come back. You know, then it's something to think about. I mean, Dave or Louis is, I think, Willie and I've kind of chatted about it. Even bring him back as consultants in the spring, just at a very extremely part-time thing, but just knowing where those roads are is the dangerous part.
Even if you had them for a month, or they
Yeah,
could
exactly.
show those guys some of those. tricks or
Exactly.
something like that. So, yeah,
I mean, that,
That's
to me, that would be,
that's a good
and I
idea.
bet, I can't speak for Louis, but I bet he might go for it.
Louis and I had actually talked about this a while ago, bringing in, Dave or Mike. You know, on a
Yeah,
contract basis, when we're opening the roads in the spring.
right,
And if Louis not here, maybe we bring in Louis in to do it, you know.
right.
But, yeah, I think that.
They might bite at it,
That
you
is a
know.
possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with both Dave and Mike is health wise,
Correct.
they're just about.
But even if they went up in a pickup and, you know, pick up in a radio and said,
I don't know.
right, left, right, I mean,
I
Jesus,
don't know if you can get Dave
use a radio.
to do this unless he was running.
Yeah, I think you would, those, I mean, well, you know,
Yeah, no, I mean, we do have some options.
Well, we,
try to throw
how
it
many
out
years
there.
ago did we ask Louis to put on that extra guy so that we could get that mentorship?
Correct.
And Louis would
Right.
didn't do it.
And on that point, I think I hate to say this, and he's gonna get mad, but I think we almost need to push harder.
No, he asked for this fourth position.
Oh, he did?
He did.
Okay, good.
When we were putting it on and he didn't want it, and then when we didn't have the money to do it, then he wanted it.
And there you go.
So, I mean, I don't know how many years we put it on and.
Yeah, we did.
would just say, Louis. Hire another person, okay.
Yeah.
End of the year, Louis.
Well,
Well, just to get
The-
that, just to get that.
the comfort zone is over, you know, I mean.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Just to put it out there too, I've been peppered a couple times by Rusty, but we also need to, you know, worry about keeping the new guys that we have too, and.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Our,
Haven't had raises in 4 years.
yeah, and they're getting raises this year,
Right.
but, you know, Rusty has said that our, some of our employee handbook policies are a little outdated. And they're, you know, not being able to have a similar, like
The bottom line is-
vacation,
bottom line-
vacation time policy is pretty outdated.
Split the PTO and overtime better
Yeah,
with the handbook than all PTO, because as you know, I bet Louis got 6 months of it, you know, I mean, right now, just not something you can put in the bank.
yeah.
And make that split different. It would
Yeah.
help.
And Rusty's, you know, perspective is, you know, it'd be nicer to be able to, in the slower times of the year, be able to actually take your PTO, and he can do other work and other things too. And just update to maybe become a little bit more in line with what the town does for PTO and things like that too, because they're definitely out competing us for PTO for their public works department versus our road and bridge too, so.
I think the town's is a little. Too generous.
Yeah, and Rusty didn't say that he was asking for what the town
Right.
had. He was very specific about that. He just said, you know, he had some ideas for improvement of that. And I think
Just a little bit,
I think it would be wise to at least
look it over.
look it over and.
Yeah, it'd be, yeah,
And going over that.
it needs to be looked over.
You know, I actually had CTSI look at our, employee handbook a couple of years ago, and they said, yeah, it's a little old, but there was nothing in that made them sweat, you know, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
But it does need to be updated, and it's actually on Dennis's list.
good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
having the.
So
time.
maybe we bring that up as.
Yeah, for sure, yeah,
So, yeah, I know it's something that we've been thinking about and talking about for a while.
yeah. Yeah,
Good point.
yeah, Rusty's not said, I'm gonna walk away if you guys, he's not blackmailing us over, PTO and overtime,
Funny thing
but-
is Rusty got hired as, the low man on the totem pole.
yeah,
And as soon as Mike was gone, Louis bumped him up to Mike's salary.
yeah,
And now that Dave's gone, Louis bumped him up
to Dave's
to
salary,
Dave's salary.
yeah,
Mike was there for
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
30 years and
yeah,
because
None-
Dave was there
none of
for
that
30
happened.
years, he never got bumped up. So,
Yeah.
so Rusty in less than a year
Yeah,
yeah,
got bumped up pretty significant.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, not to say that he's, he's not looking a gifted horse in the mouth or anything like that, he just thinks that.
No, and
There's room for, there's room for us to modernize and to update our.
yeah, look at that handbook.
and he's, he's a good hand and, I mean, he brings some stuff to the job,
Oh, yeah.
the welding and
Yeah,
stuff.
Absolutely.
Mechanic and all that.
yeah,
So. So, no, we, I think we'd like to keep him.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And since it's budget time, I'll try and go talk to those guys and see how they're feeling about what we have proposed. I'm sure they won't be too upset.
Yeah.
But it's nice just to, tell them like, yeah, we already have this thing, we discussed these things, try and get it there.
Or you wanna move on from this?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Page 33 of 41. Willie, on salary, you wanna jump yours up by about 15, is that because of the planning?
Yeah,
Okay, just a question, as far as the time let's say, I'm gonna say, in a day you spend, I'm trying to, how can I put this? Are you spending more time than you normally do of what you do during the day on planning?
I'm bumping on my hours.
I mean, are you like, that's what I wanted to
That's
ask.
basically-
I'm going from 35-hour week up to 40-hour week.
Okay, that's really what I was asking, is that if the amount of time you're spending as an administrator gone up, from what you're normally doing, it's gone up, okay. That's all I needed to know. And it's still, just the fact that you are doing the planning is saving us a pretty substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if we had even a part-time planner, it's still saving us money, so. And then, you've bumped your hours up, you don't feel like, the planning is taken away from any of your administrative duties? Do you feel okay about that? I mean, I could see it hurting on certain times and other times you're not planning, so it's not hurting.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, but it doesn't matter. I mean, even when I was just doing administration, there was always stuff that got pushed to the bottom of the list or to the back of the.
Sure,
But I think for the most part, I'm able to keep up with stuff.
okay. I guess, and it depends on the project, if it's just a little, 1,000 square foot cabin up in Prospect, but, I'm looking at this potential project in Chattanooga, that seems like that could take an inordinate amount of time, and,
I know I probably
It's a good
spent more
point.
time on the cabin on Kendall.
the ones those kids, wanted to build
brothers.
like for the road.
Yeah.
Than I will on Chattanooga.
Because they're doing because he's hired some of the people to do.
Because
the
they're
work.
not hiring people.
I got you.
And I don't have to hold his hand
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, okay,
and explain to them 5 times.
okay, and why they can't do a vacation, okay.
The other thing on Willie's, go ahead,
Oh, good.
is. Just thought I'd bring it up, it's for later, but we've been talking to Ben Martinez about because all of a sudden he's been added this whole San Juan Basin, now La Plata County portion of the septic system thing
Hmm.
that's been thrown on his plate. There may be something we can bring and be able to take some of that off your plate possibly.
Yeah.
And that's for a later thing,
On this December meeting,
right?
he,
You remember Ben?
Yeah,
he just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
just
talked
talked to him the other day.
about some of the things he might be able to do for us. He does have a full engineering background, so. And he has done stuff with septic and installation and inspection.
Inspections and everything else.
yeah, you don't want that on your plate.
No, I wouldn't, that's not on my plate.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's, I mean, actually, potentially it is with, I mean.
If we don't have-
You're-
we're trying to
well, you're-
see how
Yeah.
to do it.
You're-
But they want.
They want you to give out the applications and everything.
And do this, so, I mean, not a huge thing, I mean, I wouldn't be actually out approving the plans. or
Not like
anything,
there's
say,
100 septic systems a year or something like that.
And yeah, we don't have that many of them, but yeah, it's possible, you know, we might just hire him to do
Right.
the
I mean-
plans and inspections and run all the paperwork
And see how this La Plata County thing goes. If there are some hiccups with it, like Dennis said. It's always good to have options.
Sure.
Is there any ability for us, say, I mean, the Chattanooga is one thing, but the potential development that could be much larger at the southern end of the county, Cascade stuff,
Mm.
that could end up taking a lot of your time. Is there any ability for us to contract, a planning group, kind of like the town has, to be able to handle specific bigger projects like that?
basically in our land use code, it says that if we need consultants on any of these issues, and that would include, you know, the whole planning range.
Yeah.
We've got that ability to do that on their dime.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
They get billed for it because that's not fair to us to be
No,
majorly involved in something like that without that consultant.
Yeah, now see, unless they were gonna go in and, you know, Cascade Village has all been through the whole subdivision process, so as long as they're doing stuff that complies with that, it's really relatively simple to go in and say, okay, well, this is what was
right.
approved and, you know, you're following the guidelines and, but yeah, if they were to come in like they, you know, the Twilight Meadows, the single family homes, so that was all supposed to be condos, and they came in and amended their subdivision
I
to
didn't know
do
that.
single family homes. So if they were to do something like that again, you know, on the north end or maybe something on the south end, so most of that's, well, and there's actually.
There's still all that land on the
there's four
opposite
tracts
side
on the other
of
side.
Cascade. That's where they got one of the.
Yeah.
And I actually have been talking to a person that is very interested in buying one of those tracts and developing it.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have the resources, if one of those big projects comes along, to be able to contract it out? Okay, great.
Yeah, and and I think even to a certain extent, some of this stuff, and even just basic improvement permits, as long as Lisa isn't involved in the project itself, you know, she would probably take on the review of one of those if she needed to, or if I need some engineering advice, you know, I can get her on board and stuff like that.
Yeah. Even on the south end of the county and the know your neighbor subdivision and things like that.
We actually built a house down and know your neighbors this summer.
Yeah.
It had been previously approved and, yeah.
And again, I'm gonna throw Ben Martinez, he does planning also.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, no, I think we've got.
Good.
And, you know, and I think, ultimately,
Yes.
you know, Lucy is, you know, working towards actually being a certified planner. And, you know, and when she gets to that level and gets more comfortable, you know, we may look at buying the town and county back again. And, you know, might require us, you know, bringing somebody else on part-time, to work with her,
Yeah,
but, yeah, I think this is I think this is gonna work okay
for now.
for now.
Okay.
That's all I got.
I have one or two things we don't mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What
Page
page, what page?
26. Emergency preparedness. I know we had a nice grant for that. Is that continuing through 2024 for? For that, just more of a general question than the actual questions about the line item, but.
Yeah, emergency, preparedness, basically, we get. And it varies, but it's usually around. It might be a little bit more now, but it was around 17,000 from the state, for that position, and then, from, public health emergency planning, another quarter of his salary, so somewhere around half of it on grant and half of it through general fund.
Okay.
He did get some grants for some of the toys and stuff that he bought
Yeah.
this year, so that you know, covered some of the equipment that he's got.
And the miscellaneous charges on there went from like 8,000 to 15,000. Do you think that's grant stuff or?
Yeah, that's essentially it's, and I've been thinking about this because emergency preparedness is personnel and a few bucks plus whatever grants, but now that he's a full-fledged office, I may require him to put together a full-fledged budget because that's his office supplies and, you know.
Yeah.
But travel, phone,
Yeah.
copier, whatever, printer, computer, so that type of stuff. I may, probably not this, we may get something this year, but probably next year for sure. I'll have, you know, have a full budget for him.
Maybe I can find it. Let me see if I can find it here. In lodging tax expenditures. I'll have to put another page I got this on because I didn't write it down because we were flipping fast enough there. There in
It's page 29.
Which went from that? That was not the.
That's
not
not your
That's
look
not
at.
that's not where I saw it anyway. I saw something that said we had 100K budgeted for 2023, and then we had 191,000 for 2024. Let me see if I can find it here. So yeah, I'll see if I can keep going here. Of course, I wrote it down on my page and I probably didn't write it down. If I had just made a note on here, that would have been probably better. Okay, yeah, page 16 here. I did write it down. Yeah, on page 16, there's a line item there, 100K for the budget of 2023 and your end estimate of 100,000, and then for the budget for 2024, it's almost still about 100.
Yeah.
And 6 is that.
So it includes. And that's, I've got to figure out how I'm gonna show this, because it's all coming into lodger's tax.
Yeah.
Includes affordable
And
housing.
actually, when I break it down on 23, I think it's page 23. Was it 23, 26?
you broke it down into housing, workforce
Yeah.
housing, marketing and visitor enhancement,
Yeah, so that's
page 29.
20, okay, yeah. So yeah, 100,000 is the tourism marketing
Yeah,
and 64,000 workforce housing and 32,000 visitor enhancement.
Oh, good.
okay,
So that's.
I got- there you go.
196.
That's the breakdown.
got
So
it.
it was the page you were looking at.
But I'm,
Yeah, it was, it
Yeah.
wasn't, oh yeah, because I was just looking at the bottom line of it, not the total.
but I'm showing that workforce
Yeah.
in 3 other places, I mean, but
Yeah,
it is an expenditure out of lodging tax. But I think what I need to do is show it as a revenue into the escrow fund instead of under the Anvil Mountain.
okay, yeah,
I think that's where I'm gonna, I'll think about that a little bit, but the more I think about it, then I'm pretty sure that
okay,
that is more appropriate.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure, like, are we planning on spending all this money, you know, in the budget year of 2024, or is that just going to, you know, escrow funds? Yeah,
No, and quite honestly, I may. Because we'll have 64,000 in there from this year. And 60,000 for next year, I may show it as 128,000 expenditure, so if. You know, Beth and Ann come in and say. You know, we're ready to go for a grant to finish building these homes down at Anvil,
yeah, then we have,
can we have some action? It's like, yeah.
so what we got. Yeah. That's, I think all that I really. Yeah, that's kind of the final bit of what I had.
Page 32, 41.
32?
We got a major typo there.
Yeah, you're spelling it.
Yeah, well, it's not correct, no. Not a big deal, really. I'm just,
Yeah,
it's just one of the.
Well, at least you didn't put Pete McKay down.
Yeah, or P. McKay, or it's a lot of things,
A couple times, you know, after so many years of doing that, I'll
Exactly,
see the Pete, you know, in my.
Oh, yeah,
Right Pete
yeah.
here, and Pete, no, it's not.
yeah.
See, I actually do this on purpose just to see. if you
Just
guys
see if we're paying
actually-
attention. See if we're paying attention. It was just like
Put in there, will they notice that?
it was just like the signs this morning. You were just seeing if I'm awake, you know?
Just testing you guys.
That's right, that's good.
Gosh.
Jim Donovan, explain, I think that he's got,
What page, John?
36. His salary. And I think I'm screwed up on this, but salary is 36, or you got 36.4. That's grant money,
Half and half.
half and half.
Yeah.
And then. His other one is 38.2, so he's making 74,000 total. Is that? On page 34. Sorry. Am I correct in that? You add those two up and that's what it comes out to me. Close enough. Or is that, I mean. Is that all? County, is that grant, where's that coming from? 'Cause
Yeah, no.
one says if you're a grant, so
Yeah,
I'm not clear on that.
right, so, yeah, so part of it is public health grant and part of it is an emergency management grant. And then part of it is general fund, but it is split between the two. And, what I didn't do was I didn't, on the public
Just didn't
health
split
side,
that out,
I
yeah.
didn't, bump everything up on that I need to. For some reason, or I didn't. Or I bumped in on the other, I've got it should be 50-50 split,
Okay,
or at worst case 75-25, and that may be. That may be the way we end up doing it. I've got something there, so.
If you got
We've got a total of 2,080 hours, and the half of it is for emergency manager, half of it is
Right.
for public health.
Right,
Right.
he is a 40-hour position.
he is a 40 hour?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, but I don't know, I just 74 just seemed like a lot
Uh,
to me.
there was a lot of that,
And I'm new, but yeah, I don't know. You guys tell me. You understand what I'm saying, Austin?
Yeah,
But like you said, there's a split between health department and, because he does
Right.
things there, so. It may be,
will some of that go away when the COVID grants, go away, Willie? As far as public health? Because those COVID grants are.
No, public health, is actually, she has emergency, planning grant that she got, she got it long before COVID and she gets it after, so as long
Okay.
as that funding's there. I
I,
think we were just able to pick up a bigger portion of it when we had the COVID money, so we were doing most of it under public health instead of.
Right. I don't have a problem with the pay at all, because, he's had to deal with, 4 or 5 major emergencies in the last 5 or 6 years, if you think about it. With, the fires, COVID, the avalanche, cycle 2019. God, what else? How many disasters we had? I mean, it is amazing, just and even just institutionally, how many, like Willie and I've had to deal with, just in the short span of a decade or something. Or I look at institutional knowledge, like with the Gallegos. I mean, Gold King is the other one. We've had since the Gold King thing, we have dealt with 4 or 5 major emergencies. For a small county, and that's
Right.
why I don't see any problem with that
Okay.
position. Yeah, not at all. Because we've had to deal with, and that's when it comes into play is when we have the emergency. Just that institutional knowledge that Jim has is invaluable.
You know, we did bump both him and Becky up to 40-hour work
Right.
week.
Yep.
But with the understanding that if we get into a financial pinch, that they
Sure,
could
or
reduce back to
lose some of
35
our
hours.
grants or something like
Okay.
that, yeah.
I was just gonna say that, I think those other emergencies are things, Gold King is different, but Gold King EPA stuff has been. Like. We have communications money for a liaison and
Thank
other
goodness.
things through there, but.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, the workload of COVID is pretty different from those other emergencies.
yeah, and that was a real thing for a long time, I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
COVID
mean,
was,
I'm just saying,
daily multiple meetings, for
oh,
months and months for.
I can't even imagine.
Those guys.
I'm just saying that being over with, maybe it isn't over with. Feels like there's some people don't ever want it to be over with, but
I mean, I look at the time, just for instance, what Becky was putting in during COVID, she was sometimes working 20-hour days. I mean, she was so tired. And that was just so much pressure.
Yeah, I think, getting back to my time, if I think about how much time I spent on Zoom meetings with the state and with everybody else, all COVID related.
outside your regular hours,
I really didn't get anything done because I spent more time on that.
That took a lot of, on my end, quite a bit of time. Well, any of those disasters, do with COVID, took up a lot of time.
yeah,
We just didn't know what was gonna happen.
that's all I got.
Okay.
So primarily, if I can get people's names spelled correctly, we should be good.
Myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, normally I would have had. I would have had some updates on this one from when I handed it out to you. Like, if nothing else, I would have had the October year-to-date numbers in here.
Yeah.
But because of not knowing what the
That's,
state was gonna do, I didn't even.
that's gonna be so frustrating.
On it because I didn't know.
oh, yeah,
if
and
I
it was so
was
last
going
minute,
with
Scott, I mean.
With the scalpel or going with a, you know, a chainsaw.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
I think now we've got a decent handle on it and. Well. And that's the other thing I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming we'll adopt our budget on December 15th. But I don't know, they were, you know, talking about changing all these different deadlines as far as certifications and when the assessor has to do stuff and when the treasurer has to do stuff.
That's nuts.
If tax bills go out, you know, because they move everything back. Then when tax bills go out, then they give everybody an extra 15 days, before they get charged late fees and. Yeah, I have no idea how that's gonna play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah. Well, I think we're on to public comment at this point. Seeing our very congested audience here. If there's anybody in our Zoom audience who I don't think that there is, if you have any public comment for us or the county, please let us know. Seeing none, we're going to move on to our final portion of the meeting here, which is just commissioner and staff reports. I have one brief report. You guys didn't have any meetings this?
Had a bunch of EPA.
Yeah. Any?
Well, I mean, they're not, they're not finished with the repository, so they're coming back. To finish that, but I'm amazed how much work they have done. We just discussed, trucking, you know, the amount of trucking that's going on, different things, upcoming projects, do you remember pinning them down on that as far as where they're gonna, as far as out in the Superfund site when they're gonna be working, make sure, I don't remember anything being said about it.
No, we talked more about in theory, you know, when were they gonna come and, you know, present to the public as to what they were gonna do, and then are they gonna come back at the end of the season and tell people what they've done and that type of stuff, but I don't think we got into any details on what they actually.
They maybe haven't got that far yet. I did go to their presentation on Superfund, and it was a very just simplified PowerPoint. So if you'd never known anything about Superfund, you would have learned some. And I mean, it's still nice to be refreshed. You know, the difference between removal and remediation and how the process works, different things as far as CERCLA and stuff like that. So that was, for me, just a good review.
Yeah, no, it was actually a very good presentation, and for people that had no background, which there was two. Everybody else had either been part of the whole thing, you know, I think it would have been very, very informative for the general.
The general public did not show up.
Yeah, and
It's too bad.
It is too bad.
I did talk to Anthony about getting a hold of Meg and seeing if she would give us a copy of that PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done.
In there that anybody could look at.
And we had to remind them a couple times, like, that we did resist, Superfund status for a long time because stakeholders were doing such a good job. But then when Gold King happened, it was out of our hands. Downstream users were demanding Superfund, and we had to endorse Superfund so that.
They would have.
We would have gotten it, but maybe
Those are
not with
those.
the parameters that we were asking for, you know, seat at the table, don't declare the town of Silverton a Superfund site. Just a lot of different things, but so I just added that in for her presentation. I can't think of anything else really. It was just as far as specific stuff, and BLM didn't say anything specifically either, did they?
No.
They did tell us about all the different projects they did, Mountain Queen, Vermilion, that work, the rocks didn't get put at the Columbus, did they, or did they? I think they did, and they were supposed to put a bunch of
Let
rocks.
me ask you,
through that
Scott,
one grant we were talking about, too.
I mean, that feels to me, when they come before us, throw a couple projects out. And they don't ever, this isn't EPA, it's a BLM. We don't get much of an update on that. Remember the whole, field trip and the this and the that and oh, we're not gonna do the ditch like that, but did they? Did you get it at your meetings?
No, we
Your planning meetings?
We actually mentioned to them that,
I'm not feeling we're getting too communicated with.
we do appreciate them and we expect them to come in, before the season starts and give us an idea of what they're gonna be doing. We did tell them that, we were a little surprised at the ditch. We didn't have any indication that was,
Didn't even know it was coming.
that was coming.
And that was probably one of the biggest bones of contention in the entire summer was that ditch.
I can, me, I'm gonna go on record again. They're leaving, all the equipment's gone. It's not a perfect finished product by any means. I mean, it's just if we brought Dennis out there,
Better though.
it does look better. I will give them that. And they shoulder, they tried. You go look at there's a couple
But the
sections
shoulder needs to come up a few inches too. Yeah.
in that one area, so.
And we
I'll just-
expressed that.
Okay.
The Dina and all over
Yeah.
as well.
Good.
Did they talk at all about any repairs or upgrades that they've done to the treatment facility up there at Gladstone?
Nothing. And
So-
Well, they did talk about,
the repairs to the pipeline from the gold.
they had a plug,
And a plug pipe that was causing.
so they were down for a short period of time until they got.
And they redid the portal, so they don't get, cause that portal is, the dirt is right there, and so they brought the sets out so that, cause that.
Well, and because you're my guy. I was up there for that. They didn't bring sets out, they brought
They brought
a structure out.
They brought it, for some
They're not
reason, I thought
sets.
they brought sets,
no, it's a,
Can I tell you something, Scott? You and I would have, they didn't.
no,
I can show you a picture of
a
it.
big culvert.
It is a pretty stout, we'll see how it lasts, pretty stout deal. And they did
Huh,
do a pretty
Because
decent job on it,
cause
but
of mine would.
there's not one steel set in that.
Yeah, mine would have brought.
Steel sets out, guaranteed.
Okay, well,
And the only reason, just because I was
yeah,
directly involved in it. Doesn't look bad, but no steel sets.
One of the, concerns that you brought up is like, why can't you be treating the water out of the Red and Bonita? They said because the treatment plant had these like pinhole leaks in one of the
Yeah, that was,
columns and things like that.
they had already, and they have fixed those.
Yeah,
So
they did fix it.
That's no longer an excuse.
they still don't wanna hear,
That's a gate valve opening.
they don't wanna hear the filter press stuff from it. We keep bringing up.
Well, no, that would have downsized that project quite a bit, wouldn't it?
It would have, in a huge
I
way.
know.
Yeah, we kept bringing it up, for a long time, cause we saw it when we went on that tour.
That was a great tour.
there-
Leadville,
Yeah, the Leadville had a filter press, and.
that was
the
a
big thing-
giant water
And all
treatment
you're
plant.
doing is you're squeezing.
All
your
the
water,
moisture out.
cause that sludge is almost all water, so you squeeze like 30% of it out, but your volume goes down, so then. You don't need a giant repository.
You don't need the pyramids.
The bottom line is, and you would still need a repository, you would, and that could still be,
Yeah.
but. Those bags were an emergency bag system. You know what I mean? And if you got a filter system, they got an extra clarifier and everybody goes. Anybody else that knows. Those systems would go, hey, why do you still have the bags?
Yeah, they should be.
And I'm not an expert, okay, but
The filter
Just
press,
saying,
the filter
that's-
press is the way to go. But I don't think they want to do the filter press till they build a new plant. That's.
I
Yeah.
think you're correct.
They did tell us that most likely they will run, trucks next year to
All sludge.
haul the sludge.
Yep.
They said if they're not ready for it, they can wait till 2025, but their plans are to all.
Well, we definitely need, like you said, the mud mat. And the way better traffic control if they do run those trucks, which they did at that time when they ran them, but they need to do that.
Yeah, no, we mentioned that.
I bet you did, yeah.
And it was kind of funny because, Joy said, well, if you see somebody parked out there with their lights blinking, just stop and tell them that they need better traffic control. It's like,
That's not our jobs.
well, first, if I went up, if one of us stopped and said, you need better traffic control, they tell us that.
Like, yeah, I better.
So, I mean, but Athena actually, by the end of the meeting, I mean, we were cheap as an office.
She booked there.
She, and I do have some faith in Athena. We've had a good meeting and she does listen to us and she does, I mean, when you say, stop, you've been out there. I'm out there all the time, that's why I see it, but like you said, stop the guy with the blinker on his car. Is that the guy with the stuffed animal in the back or the other guy?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a joke there.
No.
And thank God it was Lawson. I keep mentioning, sorry.
No, that.
But he's a local that was on the loader, so he sees it. He was really good about that.
But yeah,
He was looking,
just the fact that there's a
God
big
bless him,
loader
now
across
he
3
was,
lanes of traffic.
right, but
It's real easy to get distracted and.
wow. Well, and again, that was when it wasn't peak season, but at peak season, we just got to insist on it. I mean, people, we're knowledgeable. These other guys in a brand new Rubicon or whatever, I mean, they wouldn't even know.
I know, when I was out there with my Honda Civic and that big loader's there, it's like, I sure hope he sees me.
Yeah, so
You feel that way?
you guys addressed all that, so
Yeah.
I feel good that you addressed that.
Yeah.
And we will remind them in the spring before they get started again.
Exactly,
But a good series of meetings for sure.
yeah.
Definitely a little disappointed that there weren't more. Maybe it's just because they've been here so long, everybody's just become
Kind of numb to it.
become complacent with it, but there was really no participation from anybody to see what the super fund was all about.
I feel the same way, Scott, but and I almost feel like people think they know, but most of them aren't even educated to it at all. And they should show up.
Yeah.
What actually ended up was, we sat around the commissioner or the council's table, because there were so few of us. I mean, there was just enough to fill up all the chairs. And, when they finished her presentation, we just kind of had a round table and discussed the, just in general. It was kind of a nice conversation.
Well,
And a couple of people, one was Lucy and, Ann.
Gloria was there.
Yeah, so there was 3 of them.
Yeah.
I think it was good for them.
Oh, yeah,
Them on
definitely.
this meeting a little bit.
I tell you what, I really like that social event that we went to, that you set up. I think those are,
Oh, that was
I actually think, like you said, remember when Athena said, yeah, Pete told me all about it. I mean, I was sitting at her table, but those are almost like our morning coffees. Sometimes you can get your point across.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I told Anthony, let's see if we can shoot for sometime midsummer, do a
Couple.
evening barbecue up at the park. We'll just take a couple of grills up there and grill some burgers and stuff. I think it's just
Being acquainted can help.
Yeah.
Familiarity can help.
No, it really does.
Yeah.
And it puts a face with a position,
Yeah.
and I feel like if there's a problem, you can
Right.
more accomplished that way instead of somebody you don't even know. It's gonna go, ooh. They've worked with us long enough to where
Right.
they'll respect what we have to say.
I agree with you.
I had a couple things to bring up here. The one meeting that I had really quick, the SWORD meeting, the Southwest Opioid Recovery District. Had a big vote just based on how to split money up and how to divvy things up. And there's kind of option A and option B, and option A was, more or less these communities would retain 20% of their, settlement money for community-related projects. And, Becky and Dana were on this meeting as well. And that was the direction that it was definitely going. And I tried to explain to Becky and Dana that 20% of nothing is still nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That for us, it doesn't,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't much matter. And I was kind of leaning towards the option B, where we keep 100% of our funding in as a regional group, but, La Plata and Durango, we're really pushing towards option A, which was the retaining that 20%. And so I think everybody else kind of jumped on that bandwagon pretty quickly. And with our health department, kind of giving me we can use some of that 20%. And I was like, well, I'll vote for option A as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking $10.
I know
Right.
I told Becky, I said, I don't think you
Yeah.
realize how little money we have in this game.
Yeah.
But,
Reality, yeah.
but yeah, and the big thing that they're gonna push towards with the funding that they have, and what I really wanted to support, and why I thought option B was the better thing, is that they're trying to get these, they're calling them HISRs, the high intensity sustained recovery residences. And so I think if option B was followed, they'd have like 3 to 4 of these in La Plata, Montezuma County, be able to house, 8 people per residence essentially. And it's essentially a program where, people come and they're able to stay in these housing residences with the support of people who are also recovering from addiction at different stages. And it's proved to be a more successful model than inpatient rehab and some of these other things. So I was like all on board. Let's devote as much of this as we can to the HISR funding. It's ultimately probably going to mean that we'll have maybe one less that we're, but maybe it'll be better that some of these other communities will have more preventative programming to use too. So, but we'll see how that all goes. But that was kind of a big turning point. The Denier Center's totally off the table. They're not doing that anymore. So they did a lot of research.
Do you feel like these residential things would be better than like the Denier Center as far as effectiveness?
They had a lot of research and data to back up that these HISR models are more successful. I think ultimately you're talking about treating less people for addiction.
There's more people to treat than they have the facilities for with the HISRs.
And I think in the Denier Center it would be the same way, but I think you would be able to see more. Hard to say, quality versus quantity of that. What's better? They had a lot of data to support that this method would recover and save, these communities X more amount of dollars in the healthcare systems and things like that over the years. It's one of those self-fulfilling prophecy kind of things too, though, where I think that, they've got a lot of this data that leads towards the, what they think is the most attainable and what's going to be the most successful on their thing. Marcia said that they're not giving up for La Plata and trying to secure some space for these types of things in a future, inpatient rehab facility, but I don't know. And inpatient rehab isn't proven to be necessarily that effective, but in addiction, it's a complicated subject for sure. So, but that was the only big meeting that I went to, and I did do a little bit of research on this multimodal grant that the folks from like Hinsdale were able to get for chip seal too, and that grant that they got through CDOT was ARPA funding. On the website, it says that they're going to do another cycle in late 2023 or 2024. That updates from way early in 2023, like January, February.
Hmm.
So there's probably gonna be one more cycle of funding through that. Whether they'll
Are you talking
entertain,
about, chip sealing to the county, is that,
yeah,
okay?
big portion of this is the multimodal, the creating other pedestrian walkways and paths and things like that. I think we could probably, do some improvements on the lower river road and the river road on the other side and count that as multimodal for pedestrian access.
Hmm.
If we wanted to go that direction, I still need to do a little bit more research in the next couple of
Yeah,
days.
That's interesting though.
It'd be nice to see
It is
that, upper river road trail, like around Jepson's, continue all the way to Eureka. Would be nice, it's all
Like it used to.
like it used to, yeah,
Yeah.
it used to be the old state road, but it's been wiped out by avalanche debris and mudslides and all kinds of stuff, so you gotta kind of walk over all this crap to.
I know it may not be the most popular decision if we decide to go that route, but it might really help us get funding for chip
chip
seal,
sealing, which would be
to have
a great end game.
pedestrian bike area, so.
Be a great end game.
So I think, I think that for the dust concerns and the health concerns that we have out there, I think it would be a pretty good solution if we're able to leverage more pedestrian access to the lower river road and in order to get some money to chip seal and reduce the dust out there. I would take that exchange in a heartbeat, even though it might not be
How
possible.
long does chip seal last? Because there's,
Yeah.
you can chip seal all you want, but you gotta maintain it eventually,
Yeah.
right?
It takes, well, it just depends on your traffic and terrain. You know, there's a lot of variables there. But it should be a whole lot better than what we got.
Okay, no.
And it was,
Yeah.
exactly, I mean, but it would be, you know, I think the whole thing is if you get your crew to maintenance it and you have a water truck and you have a roller and you go do this stuff. Won't last, you know. I bet that's gonna go, I mean,
Yeah.
probably
I-
5 years.
Yeah, and just to give
3
you
to 5?
the other commissioner over there's contact information, and this winter I was hoping to kind of.
Like I
sit down and examine
I asked her,
just all those options.
I'd like to hear what Buckhorn has to say and what they're using right now and see what they're doing.
Yeah,
Austin, you might
oh,
give,
and they're gonna be doing that project next May through July.
you might give Jack a call
Okay,
and just ask him from the Transportation Commission, CDOT, if there's anything we need to do to get this on their radar, or if this is something we can go on without having the transportation, or what he knows as far as what
That's
the next
It's a good
route
point.
may be. I mean,
Okay.
he would, if anybody would know.
that's good, that's helpful,
Really good, yeah.
but yeah,
The other thing, we need to remember is before we can do a chip seal project,
it's gonna require a bunch of gravel.
you gotta do road base.
I should love.
Yeah, I think that the building up the road base is
Yeah.
gonna be,
Well, I know where there's a bunch of it. My repository.
Just kidding. Yeah, EPA comes back and half
Yeah.
the inventory's gone. We don't know where the chip seal stuff came.
I know it's a big stretch for us, but that's, I mean, I don't see another really great solution for the
No.
long term in dealing.
I just wish somehow,
with
like when
dust.
we know what that trucking's going up from 110 over the bypass through there, up to that, is that we hit them up for some money. That's gonna be a huge impact on us. It was the first time,
And
Not
it's
just-
not, and it's not going away.
it's not going away.
there is, also, what they say as far as, I can't remember what they said, their percentage of material they hauled to the repository, they still have a ton to haul.
They got a
Next year.
bunch,
Bunch,
phenomenal amount.
and a lot more,
I mean, we've approved the oversized and
Yeah,
overweight and number
I
of
know where you're going with this,
tons.
yeah.
But we haven't come up with a permit and permit fees. The town's got a fee structure where
Right,
every
yeah.
one of those trucks coming through town
And remember when they was laughing about a million, and I thought, oh, there's no way. They went way past that. So we need to be something to get our lawyer on.
We need to consider that.
Yeah.
When we adopt our.
Absolutely.
In fact, I asked.
I pay for a lot of gravel.
That would be
It's-
retroactive.
And it's not just one user out there or one, provider of the gravel out there who's gonna suffer, damaged
No, no.
vehicles and things like that over it. It would, I think overall it would lower the EPA's cost because of how much easier it would be on the vehicles to go up and down there.
Right.
But, we can keep hammering on the EPA. They may never listen to us on that point, but if we have kind of a multifaceted approach to it where we can get some funding from these guys and they kick in some match money, maybe they'll be more amenable to it.
Bottom line is, that's Rocky Mountain aggregate, Zane, is the main thing. I'm not targeting Jack or Tony, because it's Zane, okay? He can get, in his bid, he can get money from them for this and then pay us.
Yeah,
Bottom line,
yeah.
it's in it could be in the equation, you know what I'm saying?
I've been scratching my head as to how we could even possibly think about doing it. It's a long tunnel, but there's a light I see way down at the end of it. So maybe if we pursue it, we can figure it out.
We did with EPA bring up a couple, at least once, we said, well, we're one of the only counties that did sue you. I mean, it was somehow, and the way we said it was, well, you should be funding us for other things.
Exactly.
We didn't sue
Yeah,
you.
all the other guys got millions up front
Dude,
because of the lawsuits.
What Utah
Utah.
got $1 million
Yeah, exactly.
or something like that, and they there's no way they could prove that
How about the
that.
tribes? How about the, anyway,
Yeah.
anyways,
There's
water under the bridge.
Yeah, there's a lot, but man, and I think that there's some federal funding that goes to chip seal projects through BLM as well. That I'm hoping to hear back a little bit more. Beth Warren was gonna research that because I heard that there was a project in Pagosa that was funded, and we touched base about it, and I called her a couple weeks ago and she was like, yeah, we did talk about that. And then I totally forgot about it because we went to that.
Thank you for researching that.
But yeah,
Let's keep going, yeah.
We'll keep going and we'll keep researching it.
We've got
See if we can figure it out.
150,000 in the gravel escrow fund.
Yeah,
Right.
So,
yeah,
I mean, as far as match goes. We could use all of that because it would be going towards
Right, right.
that, so,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if that's enough, but
yeah,
it's a chunk.
it's a good,
It is
it's a good,
This is junk.
it's a good chunk anyway. And we can definitely use it as visitor enhancement money too, because. I'm just kidding, that thing is not a bottom, but it's a great thing to say.
Look,
Yeah.
for
And
32,000.
that's why I didn't want to commit it all to single track.
Oh, yeah, no.
There's always stuff that comes up.
You're
right.
I mean, if we can help them get over the hump, it's a good use of that money, but there's,
Yeah,
Lots
there's a lot
other-
of other things that
Autumn,
will fall.
that are
under
important,
that.
yeah, exactly.
we've just seen in the county a lot that. Holding on to some of these chunks of money
Things do come up.
for big projects does help.
Yeah, gives you back.
Yeah.
One last thing, you done?
Yeah, I'm all done.
I am researching, I got another bid coming from generator guy. To me, I want to give it to the local thing, going back to the senior, sorry, I never started at the beginning, the senior center generator. We are researching that, Bevan and I are both researching that. Apparently that other number didn't include installation, so we'll have a real number for us
Sure.
to look at. So 11,000 might have been the number. To me, it just blew me away because it's what,
It's
1,500 square foot for a generator.
Yeah.
But you know what, these days,
Nothing
surprises you with
Oh.
cost.
Yeah,
So just want to let you know, still working on that. So that's all I got.
all right,
I'm set.
all right, we're gonna adjourn this meeting at 9:23. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanksgiving.
If I don't see y'all.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,